Good evening and welcome to the MODUS Super Series here on Sporty Stuff TV. It's Friday evening, which means the culmination of Group B. We're going to finalise the final 3 spots through to tomorrow night's final and induct the 12th and final name into the Champions Week Roll of Honour. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We've got a fantastic evening of darts. We've got prime time with me up on the balcony for some prime time darts and a real good run to the finish. I get the sense tonight there will be here.
Absolutely. We've got a cracking lineup of players and there's so much to play for. Niall Culleton went through the card yesterday. He won all 4 matches. The way this group is, he could go and lose all 4 matches today. We could see any sort of result, any sort of outcome. Everything is possible on Group B. Nobody's out of the running.
They've got a bit of living up to, though, to keep up with the afternoon session.
What a session that was. All the way down to the finish, it was just littered with quality. Normally I come up here and I pick out a couple of stats and I go, I'm going to talk about that finish or this finish. There were so many big finishes, key moments where we was going, oh, that's the most important moment of the week, not even the group. And then went, oh, that's the most important moment of the week. And then it ended off with that absolute classic game between Jared Cole and Richard North.
It was a session that good that Matthew Edgar's red pen actually ran out of ink. So we condensed it down to a 1-minute highlights package. Here was the best of this afternoon's action. Danny Smith, unfortunate for him with the injury because we saw on Monday glimpses and just, yeah, it didn't really work out for him with the injury. No,
and I said in commentary at times I was just almost willing him to lose 4-0, but for his own benefit, just to get him off there quicker.
Mark Graham, there was signs, wasn't there, but maybe not consistency?
That's what he's done the last time he was here as well. He's shown some good signs. He's had some good form over in Romania, and he now goes off to try and chase down a lakeside space.
Josh McCarthy hasn't played much competitive action until he came here. It'd probably be better for the experience this time round.
He should be encouraged with what he's done here. He came here, like I say, without much practice and without much board time. He put in some good performances.
Reece Colley got this 1 for 8 against Mark Graham. He's shown glimpses of brilliance, but realistically, it came down to a game against Jared Cole for him.
Yeah, he had 2 real key moments today. One against Jared Cole, one against Richard North, and he lost them both. And in both situations, he had 6 darts.
We'll talk about Richard North in a second. First of all, Jared Cole basically had his own clinic for finishing games in spectacular style. 130, 160, 167, as you do.
And the rest. That highlight reel, we could have just literally made the Jared Cole appreciation reel. And we could do the same for Richard North. Richard North has played fantastic this week and has got better and better as it's gone on, as he's told us every single day so far.
As he told us, and as we're going to show you now by having a look at the Group C table, Richard North, 10 from 10, and he let us know.
And rightly so. And I'm sure he's gone home and gone on social media and shown this table many a times as well. He wanted to know on the way out if this was breaking any records, which obviously is going to tell us about that all day tomorrow as well, because he will be back now for finals night. However, those 2 people, they're the 2 players that expected to be at the top. They're the 2 players that we all predicted would be at the top, and the class came through.
With Richard North, do you think this could be the start of something for him? He's not playing Challenge Tour because he didn't enter Q School. Is he looking at this as a vehicle for him in 2023 to say, this is where I want to get my game up to the best possible stead for whatever's ahead in his career?
If he isn't, he should, because that is the correct answer. This is the biggest platform to be playing on in darts. Now, what I said is this is worlds colliding. We've got that system now with the seniors. We've got the system with the ADC. We've got one of the top women players in the world in Fallon Sherrock today. There are literally the best players from all the ranking systems outside the PDC tour card clash here. Richard North, if he's not already worked that out, listen to this, Richard. This is your platform.
Well, let's see then the bracket slide and see where everyone comes in, because North and Cole will join Lee Budgeon. He won Group A on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. So 3 of the 6 spots are now finalised for tomorrow night's final. We're going to find out the final 3 here this evening when Fallon Sherrock, Niall Culleton, Reece Colley, Ryan Palmer and Shaun Griffiths go for glory. It is Niall Culleton, though, who is in the box seat. 1 win he is in.
1 minute is mathematically in. Now, me and Paul Nicholson always like to make a prediction on what is going to be needed in relation to qualifying. I still think somebody's going to get through this on 6 points, which means legs are going to be important for the players at the bottom end of the table as well. If that prediction's right, by my estimation, I think Niall could already be through.
Shaun Griffiths then on 6 point, is you saying possibly 1 win tonight, and he's in himself?
Yeah, because if he does get that win, he's going to take away an opportunity for one of the other players to gain points as well, because every time they go up there, the lives are running out. There's only 4 more matches now. We're at the halfway point, and every one of these early matches are going to be vital. But Shaun Griffiths comes into this in a great position on 6.
Now, you're a man who's good at giving us a couple of tips. Let's see what the bookmakers think about this evening's action. This is the outright group betting to go on and win the group itself. Niall Culleton, after winning 4 out of 4, perhaps not a surprise that he's such a clear favourite.
Yes and no. Yes, in the fact he's got the 8 points on the board and he's already got that registered. But knowing the fact of how well Shaun Griffiths played yesterday, the 180s, and how confident and aggressive he looked in his action, I wouldn't be surprised to see him up at the top come the end of play today.
Well, it's Shaun Griffiths and John Henderson that is going to get this show on the road for Friday night here at the Darts, courtesy of the MODUS Super Series here in Portsmouth. Let's get it on. Matthew Edgar's going to race his way down to the commentary box to join Paul Nicholson. Evening, Paul.
Good evening, Henry, and good evening to Shaun Griffiths and John Henderson, who will get us up and running here on Friday evening. Good evening to everybody tuning in on Sporty Stuff TV in the UK, and to everybody tuning in also on the MODUS Super Series YouTube channel worldwide. Wherever you are, please feel free to get in touch and let us know how you're spending your evening tuning in to our 10 matches tonight, which will take us through to around 1 AM local time to maybe 1:15. But here is the legend from Huntly, the man who will fancy his chances and starts in a qualification spot, but only just. As for Shaun Griffiths, it was a very successful first night in
leg,
week
it's John
12.
to throw first. Game on.
6 points from a possible 8. And one of those strange nights where he did the right things at the right times. But what Hendo needs is the same kind of start as last night.
85.
He got a very valuable win against Fallon Sherrock in his first match yesterday. Boy, does he need another win in the first game tonight, Matthew Edgar.
Absolutely. And I just want to pick up on something you mentioned when I came through the door there. I heard you saying that John Henderson starts the night in a qualifying position. And what's really interesting about that is he's won 1 game out of his 4.
100.
He's lost 75% of his matches. He's on a -4 legs, and he's still in a qualifying position. That tells you everything you need to know about this group.
I've been doing a lot of stat crunching, as I usually do, before we start an evening session. And there's one I'd like to get off my chest while it's still appropriate. You have Niall Culleton at the top of the table when it comes to Group B and 1 day of the campaign. Now, I'm going to take into consideration his Group A stuff as well. For the week, he's averaging 84.90. And he's top of Group B.
96.
Fallon Sherrock yesterday averaged 84.91. 100th of a point better, and she was at the bottom of the table yesterday. And that's not a fair experiment. But what we have in this group, and it proves your point about what you said about things possibly flipping around, the range
59.
of the overall
John,
averages from yesterday, from top to bottom, are less than 1.3 points. This is a tight group, and things could change tonight.
115.
Henderson misses the 1-3-1, but he will be back.
And the fun and games are over now for John Henderson. This is a work day. This is a get down to business day. He has been here all week. He has come here off the back of the challenge tour. He is tired. He is beaten up. The last thing he wants to do is not qualify for tomorrow night. He does not want to come here, go through this whole process for the week, and miss out on the opportunity of taking the giant novelty check. And that is a perfect way to start the process.
Absolutely right. Ever since a bad start on Monday, his first game of each session has been pretty useful. But the one thing that has come into question over the course of the days that he's played is that he has wilted as the session has gone on. He actually registered his worst average of the week in his final game this morning. And when I say this morning, it was around 1 AM.
And that's where I think when it gets to that time of day, it's now or never. There is no tomorrow. Or for him, tomorrow might not involve darts.
Did you just quote Apollo Creed again?
140.
That's what he
Quite
says to
possibly.
Rocky in Rocky 3. When he's training him on the beach, he says, there is no tomorrow.
It's a very good training quote because we always delay and we always put it off to tomorrow. But if we don't do it today, what is
41.
tomorrow? Tomorrow's the start rather than stage 2.
Absolutely. Like those people who start diets on Mondays when it's Thursday. Just start now. Good start from John, this.
135.
Really useful. I know he's not on a finish after 9 darts, but he's already putting pressure on his Mancunian opponent. Well, I have to say it, really impressed me yesterday with his intensity.
I loved it. And for whatever reason, we don't tend to see that fire and the intensity in the players here at the Super Series. I don't know whether it's the cameras, the environment, whatever it is, but we don't tend to see that. And Shaun Griffiths, he didn't go full on Gerwyn Price, but we certainly got a few roars and plenty of emotion.
He's not going to get a shot at tops for the second leg.
100. John, you require
But John
40.
is.
Game
2-0.
shot the second leg. John
He may have had
Henderson.
another practice session on that double top bed because yesterday he spent so much time on that before he
Third
started
leg,
against
it's John to
Sherrock.
throw first. Game on.
And this is a brilliant beginning. Averaging in excess of 103 for the first couple of legs. And now, if he can do that again,
140.
you would assume he's going to be strong enough to get the win. He would love a 4-0 because it would erase his negative leg difference in one match. And it would, at the same time,
60.
bring Shaun's down to +2 and maybe put him in range of being drawn into the battle with the other couple of players at the bottom of the table.
96.
I think that's what we're probably going to see throughout the night. People getting drawn into things and battle. That's what the word is. And then, you know what I say? You can win the battle, but can you win the war?
40.
Got to win enough battles. Niall Culleton won all the battles last night. That's why he's clear top of the table. But John Henderson looks in battling mood.
Now, with a nickname like Highlander, you would
60.
expect him to have seen a few battlefields. Actually, not that far from his neck of the woods, and a place he knows really well. There's a place called Cullerton. There's a bar up there called the
140.
Keppoch. Not far from where the Culloden War was fought hundreds of years ago. Tell you what, during a battle like that, I'm sure they had a few
100.
real battle-hardened guys like Hendo. I've been to that part of the world a few times. That's where a very famous Aberdeenshire Open is held, called the
140. John, you
Portland,
require 105.
run by a guy called Gordy Morrison. Bit of darting royalty up in Aberdeenshire. Double top. But when it comes to darting
65.
royalty, there's
Sean, you
nobody bigger than
require
Hendo up there.
121.
More pressure on Griffiths, who's been backed by darting royalty from Lancashire in his career, the likes of the late, great John Gwynn and
105.
Alan Warren a little,
John,
who's
you
still
require 40.
kicking around, aiding players in the game from the Players' Union. Shaun's not had the best of luck,
Game Sean the third leg.
and he's been
John
put to the sword
Henderson.
by the man with the sword on the shirt. 3-0 Hendo. He's going to be very pleased with this.
Fourth leg, it's Sean to throw first. Game on.
What do you make of this performance? An average of
100.
98 and 50% on the doubles. He hasn't really been hitting this height all week. His best average in a winning sense this week, Hendo, is 95.24.
78.
That was 3 days ago.
You got to say as well that Shaun Griffiths has just kind of walked into one a little bit as well, just like Fallon did at the first game yesterday. Shaun Griffiths is averaging over the 90 mark.
60.
He's not even been given a dart at a double yet.
Do you think that's also to do with John? He hasn't had a shot at a double, so his average has not deflated because he hasn't had any shots at the outer ring.
180.
But it just does feel like Hendo is in elimination mode. He's almost playing knockout darts tonight.
Yeah, I would say that the average would feel inflated
80.
if it wasn't for the fact that he's had 5 scores of 140 and more. And he's had the 2 bounce outs as well. I think the 5 140s or more make it feel probably about right.
He's on it.
140.
Playing like a man who just refuses to let a leg go. If he takes that 103, that's what his average will be in this performance.
100. John, you require 103.
And the mindset of Shaun Griffiths will be very, very different going into his second game of the night against Ryan Palmer if Hendo finds 88 more. $72 left.
47.
He's left 56.
Sean, you require 161.
How many times did we say that someone's hit double 16 on that shot this week in the lead up? 5 or 6?
Oh, at least. It's been the most common slip of the week, I think, that one. Either on 48, 56.
55.
Been a few different
John, you require
variables.
56.
He doesn't miss the single. And he
Game,
doesn't miss the
shot,
tops
and the
either.
match. John
What a
Henderson.
performance from Hendo, because he's just equalised the best winning average of the week, which was set in the first round of action on Monday by Danny Smith. 100.2, that is exactly 60 darts for 4 legs. And with 57% on the checkouts, he's got something he can cling to, maybe for the rest of the night and potentially for the rest of the week. He bolsters his position in 3rd in the table, and now people have to try and catch him as he taps Shaun Griffiths on the shoulder in that table. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, it will be the league leader, Niall Culleton, up against Fallon Sherrock, who needs to do exactly what John has just done.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where John Henderson has kicked off the night with aplomb, averaging a ton in his success against Shaun Griffiths, winning by 4 legs to nil, an average of 100.2, one maximum, 4 out of 7 on the double. Henderson with a fantastic start to the evening's campaign. That moves him in terms of the table onto 4 points, into 3rd position in the table. Whilst next up for us is our second game of the evening. It's the first time we've seen Fallon Sherrock and Niall Culleton this evening. And in the commentary box, here's Paul Nicholson and Matthew Edgar to describe all the action.
Welcome back to the action. And here is Niall Culleton, your league leader in Group B. Another different shirt. I wonder how many he brought. I guarantee you there's another one for tomorrow night. As for Fallon, in her customary pink, hair down tonight. She had bunches yesterday, but didn't bunch up as many points as she wanted.
First leg, it's Fallon to throw first. Game on.
There is your referee for the evening, Charlie Corsterfield, one of the best in the business. And Fallon has the darts against Niall Culleton here. Points at a premium, points
58.
needed quickly now that Hendo has got that big win in game 1.
And I make Niall Culleton through on the predictions
100.
on terms of what we believe the amount of points is to get through. I think someone's going to get through on 6 potentially here. If Niall moves to 10, he'll be through.
80.
So this is a mathematical qualifying game for Niall Culleton. And to be honest, the way he
121.
was playing yesterday in all the big moments, you wouldn't put it past him. I know I said on the balcony he could potentially go and lose 4 from 4, but that was more to do
58.
with talking about how competitive the group is. I also won't be surprised to see him do what I'm going to call a Richard North.
And Mr. Perfect,
100.
Kurt Hennig. I'm trying to talk your language.
Yeah, I like that. Just needs a towel and a piece of chewing gum now.
Oh,
doesn't
no,
it?
81.
no. I've just thought, if Richard North is watching this, he's probably going to love that for a nickname. I'm not calling him Mr. Perfect.
60.
I'm expecting a tweet in about 5 minutes flat. As for Fallon, yesterday I mentioned that she averaged 84.91.
Now you require 120.
Couple of maximums in there. She had the second best running average for the week out of all of the players coming into tonight. But Niall gets the first dart in a double, and he takes a break of throwing 15 darts to start this one off. Swimming in confidence.
Second leg, it's Niall
What
to
is he
throw
swimming
first.
in, though? Because
Game
yesterday we had someone swimming in the soup of doubt.
Yeah, that wasn't Niall.
What do you swim in when it's a
on.
good thing?
100.
Well, it's just to coin one of my older phrases, and I used this in a match involving our old friend Kyle Anderson, when he had a
84.
remarkable start to a European Tour match. I said he was sipping from a glass of brilliant darts juice.
140.
I'd love to know what that tastes like.
Yeah, what flavour would that be?
51.
If I had to hazard a guess, I think it would be bubble gum.
Did not expect that answer. Cullerton's got a lovely
95.
range around that treble 20 early in this match. He's putting Sherrock under heaps of pressure. Now, if you look at her position in 5th in the table,
66.
she's on 2 points and -6. The last thing she needs in this first game of the night is a heavy defeat.
41.
She did some good stuff yesterday. She had a high out of 121. And that was when she beat Ryan Palmer by 4 legs to 2. That was a very good performance,
85.
yielding her best
Now
average
you
of
require
94.39.
125.
She needs stuff like that if she's going to survive. Cullerton's going for another big out.
Game
And he
shot
gets
the
2 out
second
of
leg.
2.
Niall Culleton.
120, 125. And he's been getting these kind of finishes
Third
all
leg,
week
it's
long.
Fallon to throw first.
He's at a
Game on.
157. He had a 154 yesterday in this group. And if we are going to start talking about finishes,
140.
we have to give an honourable mention to Jared Cole this afternoon, who was borderline ridiculous alongside Richard North.
58.
They had such a bingo card full of amazing finishes for that 15-match cluster in Group C this morning.
And then combine that
60.
with Lee Budgeon from Group A, who had a ridiculous amount of 180s. And we are shaping up for a fantastic finals night tomorrow night.
100.
Got to start finding that first dart in that 60 bed, which makes things a lot easier for her.
60.
She's been left frustrated at the start of this one, only averaging in the mid-70s, whereas Niall is hovering around the 100 mark.
That word there,
60.
frustrated. If Fallon isn't feeling that right now, I'll be surprised. From day 3 of stage 2 of Q School, she has took heavy blow after heavy blow. Where it doesn't matter what she's done, it just doesn't seem good enough. A 98 average wasn't enough to get through the first round at Q School for her. And all she needed was that
Fallon, you require
one extra
101.
point, and a 98 average wasn't enough. She came here and ran into that one of Hendo.
Double 16.
85.
She can't bank that ton plus finish to get her first leg of the night. But a guaranteed return, as Niall has not found what he was doing in the first couple of legs. Sporting a very
60.
very
Fallon, you
interesting
require
shirt
60.
tonight, which reminds me of something from Cobra Kai. Double 4.
No score.
Well, I suppose if you're going to miss it, it's not the worst place to miss it, because she can go back to double 8 now.
$92. Fallon, you require
Second
16.
chance on this double.
Game
This
shot
time
the
it
third
works,
leg.
and 19
Fallon
darts is enough
Sherrock.
to open her account for the night. I've got to say this as well. I got to the venue
Fourth leg,
tonight
it's
at
Niall to throw
around
first.
7:45.
Game on.
There wasn't anybody in the practice room yet. They got here, and by there I mean Niall and Hendo and Shaun Griffiths got here around
45.
8 p.m. Niall actually found out that the brownies didn't get here to us last night
140.
when Danny Smith was here. He felt so sorry for us. He actually brought some brownies in for us tonight. And I said, "You don't need to bribe us, Niall.
81.
You might already be through." And he just laughed. But it's a very nice gesture, Niall. We're very appreciative.
Always open to a bit of brownie bribing.
81.
Doesn't matter where he gets his points tonight.
100.
As long as he gets one win. I don't think I've ever seen anybody on 10 points in Group B not qualify.
140.
This is better from Fallon. The average is starting to climb a little bit towards the mid-80s.
24.
She has an excellent
Fallon, you
reputation
require
for
140.
her temperament and the ability to fight back. Now, what do you make of that play? Going 18s
90.
there on 140 with Cullerton halfway through the leg.
Well, she's got an idea of where she wants to end up, hasn't she? And that is on the double 16, ideally. If anything, it tells me she's not
100.
overly
Fallon, you
confident throwing the
require
higher
50.
targets of the board.
Double 16.
Game
That's
shot the
much
fourth
better.
leg.
That's a
Fallon Sherrock.
5-visit leg to draw level, and she's got her throwback as well.
Fifth leg,
You
it's
can
Fallon
never
to throw
count out
first. Game on.
this vast talent who seems to have been around for a very long time. You and I have been in the game for long enough to know that she's been playing
43.
at a world-class level since she was a child.
Yeah, and when you get these players that come onto the scene very young, you're very surprised when you actually see their age and see that
140.
they're not like late 40s. I've been asked a few times when I'm going to be playing in the seniors. I'm 36.
I've had that too, and I'm only
100.
43. But I remember the first time I ever saw Fallon's name in a publication talking about her talent, and I thought, that is a
26.
name that I'll never forget. some names you think, well, that's just a bit mundane, it's a bit normal. But when you think about the name
59.
Fallon Sherrock, I don't know any other Sherrocks, and I don't know any other Fallons. It's a very individual name, and it's a superstar name, isn't it?
60.
It's turned out to be the case. She's got to go 19s here on the start. But there is the tiniest bit of counting fragility.
134.
It's an excellent visit. But as soon as you get that single 20, it doesn't matter what you are, what you can do, you're not going to leave a
81.
finish.
Got to be said, two things are happening here. Fallon Sherrock's average is going up. Niall Culleton's is coming down.
57.
Is there a risk that he could relax a bit too much tonight?
I think there's a risk that he could try too hard and really try and push to guarantee this and get that 10th point on the board.
80. Fallon, you require 108.
All the fours. That's 16 points. He's 92.
36.
Cully's got
Now you require
plenty of choices here.
114.
Got two big outs already, a 120 and a 125. Won't be adding a 114 to it.
40. Fallon, you
Just
require
completely
72.
deserted him here from the point of being 2-0 up.
Old school treble 12 was the effort. One dot at tops.
52.
You mentioned, Matt, that
Now you
maybe
require
she
74.
is not favouring the higher doubles. It doesn't pay off. And it's Niall's turn to get a treble 4. That leaves 62. And he doesn't get a shot at the bull either. That's 35 left. You don't leave 35 very often.
54. Fallon, you
And
require
he leaves
20.
what Fallon's got.
Game Shaun
What Fallon
the fifth
takes.
leg.
3-2
Fallon
up.
Sherrock.
Now, is a narrow win enough for Fallon
Sixth
at
leg,
this
it's Niall
point
to
of the
throw
night?
First. Game on.
Does it still leave her needing more in the way of bigger wins later? But I know I'm getting ahead of myself. But is it about
70.
getting points early and then seeing where she stands maybe after game 5?
If you get enough points, legs don't matter.
100.
Points are the first deciding factor. So the big wins only come into play if she's looking at maybe going to a 6-point day. If she can get the 3 wins, go to 8
60.
points, I don't think legs are going to really come into play for her there. So it's all about the wins, whether it's tight or big at the moment.
She's in for the first maximum
180.
of the game. A little bit earlier on, I did my tips with Sporty Stuff TV, and I said that Niall Culleton would have
100.
more 180s than Sherrock in this game at 9-4. I think I'm on the cusp of being very wrong.
44.
Unless something goes wrong for Fallon. Remember, if you're having a gamble tonight, please do so responsibly. It's over 18s only and begambleaware.org for more information.
41.
Niall Culleton has gone from the point that we put the averages up, averaging well over 100, to averaging 78. That is a drop
81.
of around about 24 points.
He really was running up the ladder earlier, and all of a sudden he's lost a shoe, and he's trying to get up a ladder with one leg now
100. Fallon, you require 96.
for the match. And she doesn't have to go for the treble 20 here. It's double top.
76. Now you require
And the match start has been
130.
missed. And she's going to get more. A 4-2 win would take her to 4 points and a leg difference of -4. She would jump
25.
up 1 spot in the
Fallon, you
table.
require 20.
And that's what happens.
Game, shot,
She
and
gets
the
her
match.
own back
Fallon Sherrock.
on Cullerton, who beat her yesterday by 4 legs to 1. So she's still in the race. And Cullerton may have a little bit of work to do later in the session. The averages do not reflect what we saw in the early portion of the match, but eventually Fallon won 4 legs on the spin to get 2 very valuable points. When we come back after the break, we'll get our first look at the Lion, as he's going to take on Shaun Griffiths, who's a bit wounded after losing to Hendo 4-0 in match 1.
This is the MODUS Super Series. $180.
The MODUS Super Series, the competition that is with you all year round in 2023. And in our previous encounter, we saw Fallon Sherrock gets off the mark with a 4-2 victory against Niall Culleton. Cullerton, who won both of his legs with ton plus finishes, the highest of which a 1-2-5. 2 out of 2 on the checkouts, whilst for Fallon Sherrock at 80, just under 81 average, saw her get over the line by 4 legs to 2 in her opening game of the day. Next up for us, it's Shaun Griffiths up against Ryan Palmer. A first look of him this evening, and it's going to be watched in the company of Paul Nicholson and Matthew Edgar.
What a fabulous start, Henry, with Hendo and Sherrock doing exactly what they wanted to do. As far as Ryan Palmer's concerned, he's got to follow. And if he does, we'd have 3 players on 4 points
First
at the bottom of the table.
To throw first. Game on.
And all of a sudden, Shaun Griffiths would really start looking over his shoulder. He's on 6, and his leg difference has shrunk to +2 in a matter of 8 or 9 minutes at the start of the session.
100.
I just want to emphasise something you said there. You said Ryan Palmer wants to follow. I think Ryan Palmer has to follow. It's
41.
not a case of wanting, it's having to. Fallon Sherrock and John Henderson are above him now on 4 points. They've got to play each other. Someone has to win that fixture. So one of John Henderson or Fallon Sherrock will move to 6. If Ryan Palmer does not win this game, he'll be 4 points cut of the qualification, which is 2 wins, plus he'll need legs, and then he'll have to hope in the last. He'll need a lot to go right for him if he is not to win this fixture.
I just want to talk about something that you brought up a little bit earlier in the week, Matt, because it was fascinating to me. It's not something that I've dug into a great deal until you brought it up. It's something you like to call the range, which is the disparity between their highest average this week and their lowest. So
59.
The smaller that range is, the more consistent they are. And oddly, these two are the most consistent because the range of Palmer from his lowest average to his highest, as we get our first maximum of the match from Shaun, the range for Palmer is 6.58 points. To illustrate that, his lowest average is 79.35, his highest 85.93. So you know exactly what you're going to get from him.
25.
Hopefully, him leaving a finish in this 5th visit, and Shaun will be back. But as far as Shaun's concerned, his range is 11.44 points, the second best of this 96. Group for this week.
Shaun, you require 16.
But his range does include a better level to the north, a high of over 92.
Game Shaun the first leg.
A 1-0 lead in this game.
And we know that people like to play along at home responsibly with their chosen bookmaker.
Second leg, it's Ryan to throw first. Game on.
My biggest tip to you, if you are playing along at home, having a responsible gamble,
123.
is look at the range. Don't just look at the base average and go, well, this player averages that. Look at the range. What is that made up of? I've explained like a 95 average and a 75 average will level off in the 80s. One game you're going to be competitive, one game you've got no chance in. And what you tend to do is you tend to look at the player and go, oh, he does that, so I'll back him in both of those games.
140.
And you're going to miss out on one of them because of that range of performance. And then don't go crying if you haven't done your research is the basic thing. The answers are out there. And for me, the biggest tip and the biggest thing to look at,
180.
Bottom average, top average, and the amount of games that's over.
That really was
100.
A very, very good 180 and a great camera angle of it as well. The force that he delivered with that third dart was extraordinary. But full credit to Palmer, who gets to the finish first anyway.
That was a feature 60. Of Shaun Griffiths' game yesterday, wasn't it? The 180s. I mean, he opened with a 180 and then just continued to produce.
Yeah, he had the most of everybody yesterday. He had 5.
42. Shaun, you require 121.
Did get a 1-2-1 yesterday, but from Sherrock. Still possible for Shaun here, but no longer. And Palmer gets a chance to equalise with 96.
Ryan, you require 96.
He was the only player not to get a ton plus finish yesterday.
63.
In fact, his highest finish
Shaun, you
yesterday
require
was
24.
49.
Game Shaun, the second
It's a
leg.
2-0 lead for
Shaun
Griffiths. And I suppose when you think about it, yes, this is good news for Shaun,
Third
but
leg,
this
it's
is
Shaun to throw
also
first. Game on.
possibly bad news for Henderson and Sherrock. Most definitely bad news for Palmer.
Yeah, I think Shaun Griffiths takes this, and if he
140.
continues to take it in the way he is taking it, where it's a heavy victory, I'd be confident to get the first marker pen
60.
line gone through, and I'd be giving Ryan Palmer the marker pen purely on the reason that John Henderson has to play Fallon Sherrock, so that means everyone's going to be on a minimum 6 points in those qualifying positions.
I've been so impressed with Shaun
180.
over the last 25 hours. I didn't know what kind of nick he was going to be in.
140.
But as far as the scoring is concerned, there is a lot to admire about the place that he's in right now.
I, probably like yourself, played Shaun Griffiths many years ago on the Pro Tour.
100.
And when you see a name like that just disappear, and you don't seem to do much, and then you see their name popping up here and there, and the best average I could find for him for the whole of last
100.
year was 85.
Shaun, you require
You think
81.
your race is run and you're now a recreational player.
That's a really good way of putting it, actually. But he's lifted his level since he's been here over the last day.
65.
He'll be back for double eight. That could have been a 12-darter to inflate his average even more. But he averaged as high as 92 yesterday.
41. Shaun,
His
you
performance
require
in this
16.
game is a little better than that. Double four. That's a lovely marker.
Game Shaun, the
Perfect for
third
him.
leg.
Now,
Shaun
I don't
Griffiths.
think that dart was going in without the marker. Does it matter?
Fourth leg, it's Ryan to
Not
throw
one
first.
jot.
Game on.
After losing 4-0 in the first game, this is a remarkable Tyson Fury style
140.
getting off the canvas response.
And I say recreational play. Right now, I am completely against that. And I think we could potentially see the second coming here of Shaun Griffiths.
85.
Certainly, I think his potential to win this week. However, some of the names that we're looking at here and the odds, we looked at the odds at the start of
81.
the show in relation to winning this group. But in terms of winning the week, you can get Jared Cole now, 11-4. Lee Budgin, the winner of Group A, 100-30. Niall Culleton, who's top of this group at the moment, 4-1.
95.
Richard North, 4-1. Then we get to Shaun Griffiths at 8. I think that represents a little bit of value, but then so does Richard North at 4-1 and Jared Cole
43.
at 11-4. What a week.
I'm trying to wrap my brain around the fact that the bookies have got Jared Cole as the favourite, and he came second in Group C, whereas Richard North didn't lose a match in the whole group and beat Jared Cole
80.
twice. That simply doesn't compute.
I like weeks like this because weeks like this say to the viewer at home,
57.
if you've got an opinion on who you think's going to win this, you get value.
The value's there.
And the quality will be there as well.
60.
This will be, and I'm going to say it now, and you can check the stats at the end of it. This will be the best finals night of the series.
He said that, not me.
60.
But I hope he's right. How close to the finishing line can Shaun get? Can he force Palmer to get his first ton plus out of this
100.
week?
Ryan, you require 120.
Bearing in mind, yes, he's 3-0 up. Shaun's biggest finish in this match is 24.
60.
You can see that Ryan
Shaun,
is
you require
displeased
81.
with how this has gone. Somewhat catastrophic. If this double 12 goes in.
69.
He's had his chance for a 4-0
Ryan,
win.
you require 60.
And that would have drawn him level with Cullerton at the top on points and leg difference. I'm gauging a little bit of negativity from Ryan this evening.
Game
That'll make him
shot
feel
the fourth
better.
leg. Ryan Palmer.
I think it's negativity that's been inflicted by the
Fifth leg, it's
situation, by
Shaun
the
to throw
brilliance of
first.
Shaun
Game
Griffiths.
on.
Sometimes when you're going up against someone who's just hitting like Shaun Griffiths has in those opening 3 legs, you just feel like, I can't live
45.
with this guy right now. And you lose the moment.
You get the feeling that Shaun's having the same sort of game that Jared Cole had this morning, where the first 3 legs
96.
were so good that he averaged over 100. Maybe sensed that he was playing that well and putting in that big performance. But in leg 4,
100.
just started to realise where he was. Ultimately, Josh McCarthy reeled in Jared Cole by a couple of legs, but then he figured it out and won
60.
4-2. And it was still a great performance. Now Niall Culleton knows that he will be at the top of the table when he comes back to the hockey next against John
100.
Henderson. There is nothing Shaun can do about that.
$58.
Is this the moment where Shaun Griffiths starts to sprint to the finish?
60.
It's a very similar setup to that of Daryl Gurney, isn't it? Same style of barrel, long white stem, similar shape of flight, same angle of attack when it hits the
100.
board. But you'd probably say that Shaun's snap in the elbow is just a little bit more aggressive. Daryl Gurney's throw is just a little bit more graceful, you could say.
You can see how long the dart is, because when it goes
59.
just above, you can't even see the whole of the flight in the camera shot. It's pretty much like a javelin, although there are legal limits, aren't they, around the weight
58.
of a dart and the
Shaun, you
length of the
require
dart, and how
137.
many pieces a dart must be made up of.
4 bits, isn't it? Flight, stem, point, and barrel. And then various add-ons like
99.
flight
Ryan, you
protectors.
require
I think the
129.
rule was something like a dart has to be made up of a minimum of 3 pieces.
Yeah.
83.
Ooh, we had to hold our breath. We didn't know the flight was in the way.
Shaun, you require 38.
But Griff is coming back. And he's going straight for it.
Game.
Good
shot,
choice.
And the match.
And a huge
Shaun
win for him,
Griffiths.
which takes him to 8 points. And by our reckoning, he is very, very close to qualification because he's got a 4-point gap between himself and that of John Henderson and Fallon Sherrock. Ryan Palmer can only get to 8 points now, and that's if he wins his final 3 matches in this group. That's a very impressive performance from Shaun. 91 the average, and 1 in every 3 darts at double hit. He's going to feel very, very good about that indeed. He'll come back a little bit later on in the second half of play against Niall Culleton, but he will play John Henderson next before we see Fallon Sherrock take on Ryan Palmer at the halfway point.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series. So things really are hotting up in Group B. And a victory here for Niall Culleton against John Henderson would see him into tomorrow night's final, joining the likes of Lee Budgeon, Richard North and Jared Cole in tomorrow night's final. I'm whispering very quietly because the players can hear everything being said in the arena. So a big game for both players. And we've got a big name commentary team to guide you through it. Here's Paul Nicholson and Matthew Edgar.
Henry, I've got to pay tribute to that brilliant Ted Lowe impression. Absolutely fantastic. If the snooker guys are short, we'll have to put your name forward. What we've had so far tonight are 3 home wins. Everybody who's had the darts has won, including Hendo, Sherrock and Griffiths, who have banked the points so far. But if Hendo was to win again against Cully here, Cullerton all of a sudden wouldn't be safe, but John would inch towards safety and put himself in a stronger position than Sherrock and Palmer.
First leg, it's Niall to throw first. Game on.
John Henderson, 100 average in the opening game. Absolutely brilliant. Niall Culleton was going down the same road until the point he went 2-0 up against Fallon. And then
140.
I'd love to know the average for those last 4 legs which he lost to Fallon. Because he went from around about the 103 mark down to a 77. That is a huge drop over just 4 legs of darts. And for me, that's why I think we've seen that bit of a market move as well on John Henderson. He started this game at the 4-7 mark, where earlier on, when we got here this evening and we was doing our prep,
140.
4-5 for John Henderson. So despite not having the throw in this one, there has been a market move in favour of the Highlander.
I can understand why.
43.
But let's have a little brief look as to how these two have gotten on against each other this week. This is their 5th game. It's currently 2-2.
85.
First win came for Niall on Monday. He got his 2nd win yesterday. They were both 4-2. Hendo won the 2 in the middle. 4 legs to 3 and 4 legs to 1. So this could well be the decider. But they would love to have a 6th meeting tomorrow, even a 7th.
I think there's a value play tonight. I call it Edgar's Top Tips. And I rarely give them out unless I see something around about the even money mark that I like the look of. When do you think I should share that with the viewers?
Probably after Hendo hits tops.
43. John, you require 40. Game shot on the first leg. John Henderson.
I like to leave a bit of a cliff. I like to leave people waiting a little bit. So what I'm going to do...
Second leg is John to throw first. Game on.
A game. I'm going to tell you it at the start of Shaun Griffiths versus Niall Culleton.
You're going to leave it until
85.
after the halfway point.
Well, that tells you already that I think the value's coming in the back half of the session.
You're giving yourself a chance to change your mind as well. I'm seeing how you're operating.
97.
What a great start that was from John. Lovely, lovely beginning. Starting in 13 darts. And double top is starting to
81.
work. I wonder at which point in this fixture list that we have in front of us, and you have access to that fixture list on your favoured bookmaker's website as well. And you can check it out via the MODUS Super Series Twitter page or our social media channels. But I wonder at which point tonight we will have somebody confirmed for Saturday.
123.
And then a second name. This is better from Niall leaving 141 after 9.
100. No,
he's probably going to need to be at this kind of scoring level to worry Hendo because he's on a better finish after 12. And he might just take it out for a 2-0 lead.
85. John, you require 100.
Oh, it's another.
Game shot on the second
Tops
leg.
is working all right.
John Henderson.
He's hit 3 of them in 2 legs.
when he broke the rhythm,
Third leg,
and
it's
he had to
Niall
bend down
throw
to chuck
first.
to look if it
Game
was
on.
in, I thought, oh, is that going to be the deciding factor? No. When you're playing as well as John Henderson is, you don't need rhythm.
60.
He's going to love this line, by the way, because I know one of his favourite films. He is seeing tops tonight like it's a giant orange on a toothpick.
140.
He'll get that reference. It'll sound very strange to everybody else.
Yep, I'm in the category of everybody else then.
Sounds even better in his accent.
64.
But I'm not going to insult him by trying it. Right now, he's on a mission. But the one thing that's going through my head, he had a great
59.
start yesterday. And by game 3, he started to flag. And that's where he played Cullerton and lost 4-2.
100.
He started to show signs of stress, tiredness. And then when he was up against Griffiths in game 10 this morning, he really did struggle.
128.
But I'm not seeing that here. I'm seeing more energy. I'm seeing more positivity. And this is great for Hendo fans. And really,
39.
really bad for Cully.
I agree, 100%. By this point yesterday, I was already seeing warning signs. He was already sending up the flares. Where in this situation, it just looks focused,
60.
determination. He knows. There is no tomorrow. I'm going to use it. I'm going to keep using it. Because
136. John, you
want to play
require
the amount of darts he
140.
has, and it will feel like a big disappointment if he is not to get through to at least have a crack at the 5,000.
Is it
shot in
again?
The third leg. John Henderson.
4 double tops in 3 legs. Who does he think he is? Robert Thornton? Who is the best double top
Fourth
shooter
leg,
I've
it's
ever
John
seen.
to throw first. Game on.
And his former World Cup partner, of course. But this is maybe what goes around comes around, because throughout the early part of the week, he was having such a bad time of it
100.
on his favourite double. But finally, it's clicked.
All week, he has started well and tailed off. When you start with a 100.20 average in game 1, you say, okay, fair enough, it's going to tail off from here, and we can expect that. John Henderson says, oh,
60.
no, you don't. Nearly 105, the running average for this game.
And he hasn't lost a leg tonight. He's 7 deep
81.
without any response from an opponent.
I'll go one better. He is 7 deep without facing a single dart at a double against him.
That's ridiculous when you think about the company he's in. If that doesn't prove that Hendo's in a better place tonight, I don't know what does. Something ruffled Cully there. That's not like him to step away.
100.
Henderson has got 6 darts from here to have an even better performance than his first one. And it could well be.
139.
Well, he's just laid up for 62 because he wants to take tops.
And if he takes that 62, he'd have played 2 matches, won them both 4-0, and no one's had a dart at a double against Hendo
60.
on Friday.
John, you
I have
require
seen
62.
before somebody take 5 double tops in 4 legs. But he's not going to do that. But he has won 4-0 again.
And the match, John
What
Henderson.
a performance. It's the best of the week by quite some distance. 105.47 sets a new personal best here at the MODUS Super Series this week. And that was special. Look at the checkouts. Perfect. It could not have gone better than that. And as far as his climbing up the table, he hasn't actually changed position so far. He's still in 3rd. But what he is doing is he's separating himself from the bottom 2. And we will now turn our attention to see what Fallon Sherrock can do in response to that when she takes on Ryan Palmer in Game 5.
Welcome back to the Super Series, where the Highlander is looking to march his way onto the road to success, the road to finals night here at the MODUS Super Series. What a night he's having so far. Have a look at the stats here from his 4-0 success against Niall Culleton. 105.5 average, 2-ton plus checkouts, the highest 114, 100% on the doubles. It really doesn't get much better than that. The only way it could have been better if he got a maximum on the board. If you actually put the two averages together and you divide it up together, you're getting a running average around about 102.5 for John Henderson this evening. That is the level the Highlander is playing at this evening. He is making moves in the table as well. We can have a look at that now for you as we approach around about the halfway point of our evening session, and it puts him onto 6 points in this group. He is the man making the move so far this evening. Now, Cullerton, the man who won all 4 fixtures on Thursday, is yet to taste success tonight. And so that means Shaun Griffiths is the man at the top of the league standings. So next up for us here this evening, it sees Ryan Palmer take on Fallon Sherrock. But before we delve into that match, reminder that all of our players here are looking to make it through to finals night and the opportunity to play at Champions Week. This is the 12th and final week of the qualification process to get to Champions Week, which begins Monday morning, and every single session is going to be live with you here on Sporty Stuff TV. And to kind of whet the appetite ahead of the big occasion, let's see how our previous 11 finalists won their weeks. It began at the end of October. Jim McKeown winning the first week's action, beating Scott Walters in a high-quality final. Then it was a debutant, Alexander Merckx, who tasted success in week 2. He got the better of Robert Whitwood in the final. Lovely embrace there between the pair. Justice Smith was the victor in week 3. He got the better of the legend that is Martin Wolfie Adams in the final, nailing this double 4 for leg 4 to seal success. And look at what it meant to the bearded dragon. And a nice show of emotion between the pair there. Great bit of respect. And that is what the Super Series is all about. Colin Osborne, the victor in week 4. He got the better of Aaron Monk by 4 legs to 1. He literally couldn't believe what he could see. Well, he saw that double 10 go in, and it saw his hopes of Champions Week quashed. It was Colin Osborne who went on to take the spoils. Excuse me, Jamie Kelling was the man for week 5. He got the better of Richie Parkin by 4 legs to 2 in the final. JK will be making his debut at Champions Week. Graham Usher was the victor in week 6. He got the better of James Richardson by 4 legs to 1. The gambler who subsequently then went on to win a PDC Tour card at Q School last month. The Australian guru Raymond Smith was the victor in week 7. A rip-roaring display throughout the course of the 6 days. He got the better of Peter Jakes in the final by 4 legs to 1. And perhaps the story of the Super Series so far this time round has been Adam Warner, an ADC qualifier. He roared his way to success with all of his Sheffield University teammates in attendance. He got the better of Alex Small by 4 legs to 3. He also went on to win a tour card. Adam Mould, another ADC qualifier. He was the victor in week 9. Again, in a last leg decider, getting the better of Ian Moss by 4 legs to 3. It was far more routine for Matt Clark, who got the better of Kevin Painter in the final. 4 legs to 0, Superman got the better of the artist. And we'll see him right about this time next week. And then last week's victor was Johnny Haynes, the punk getting the better of Neil Duff by 4 legs to 1 in the final to become the 11th name etched into the Champions Week Roll of Honour. So that is how the players have got there so far. We're going to find out over the next 26 hours or so who the final name is going to be at Champions Week. Next up for us, it is Fallon Sherrock against Ryan Palmer. It's our halfway game of the evening here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth, and it's going to be enjoyed in the company of Paul Nicholson and Matthew Edgar.
Many thanks, Henry. What a really good evening it's been so far. And so far, so good for Fallon as well. I don't think we should forget about the fact that she has started buoyantly by getting a win over Niall Culleton by 4 legs to 2. Henderson taking the plaudits for 2 monstrous performances. But now it's over to her in her effort to keep Ryan Palmer at the foot of the table.
First leg, it's Ryan to throw first. Game on.
If he wins, he gets within 2 points of Hendo in third position.
99.
If she wins, she equalises John's points total and keeps Ryan Palmer at the bottom. And we believe
60.
he would be eliminated with defeat here because he would be 4 points adrift with only 2 games left.
I don't believe it.
58.
He will be. Because if he loses this, Fallon goes to 6 as well, which will cut him 4 points away. But Hendo has to play Fallon, so one of those has to go
43.
to 8. So Ryan Palmer loses here. He is out, and he gets the marker pen.
98.
I think he had a goal of trying to make the top 3 after some previous experience here. And he has played pretty well in his time here previously,
80.
but it just hasn't clicked for some reason over the last 5 games. I don't know what you think about this, Matt, but I'm trying to read Ryan. I've known him a long time. He looks quite tense. We said yesterday that maybe he's trying a bit too hard.
59. Ryan, you require
In his interview, if you remember,
149.
he said that when he goes out to things like the PDC and the Q schools and things, that he gets tense. And he just needs to relax
66.
and let it happen. And that kind of is the advice. But if you can't relax and let it happen, that's the point that you need to change the process. Don't just
59.
keep going,
Ryan,
expecting
you
one
require
day
83.
it's going to change and do the same thing and get a different answer.
That's absolutely right.
51.
Doing everything exactly the same and expecting different results is the definition of insanity.
60. Ryan, you require 32.
Don't be afraid to change it up for your own benefit. Double 8.
24.
And Sherrock gets
Fallon,
a
you
look.
require 140.
Earlier in the day, she went 18s on this, but changes tactic and might take it.
130.
Oh, that was close.
Ryan, you require 8.
And for about 2 seconds, Ryan Palmer couldn't breathe.
Game
But he does
shot
find
the first
Desmond
leg.
at the
Ryan
bottom of the
Palmer.
board to breathe a sigh of relief.
And before this game started, we was able to sit back and
Second
watch
leg,
over
it's
the
Fallon
last
to
11
throw
weeks
first.
and the
Game
players that
on.
you're going to be seeing next week in Champions Week. And while I was watching that unfold, I was just thinking, nice story, nice story,
100.
nice story. Probably picked out about 4 or 5 like really key players I'm looking forward to seeing because of the story of what that happened in
60.
their week and what it meant to them as individuals. Do you see anyone this week who it could really mean something to? For me,
100.
I'm looking at Richard North and Shaun Griffiths as 2 players this would be really, really vital for.
I agree completely. I think
60.
if you consider what they've done over the last 2 or 3 years since the pandemic hit, it's been pretty negligible.
81.
They could really use this catalyst to tell them where their game is going. We know that Ryan Palmer is ranked number 1 in the
97.
Southwest in the amateur darts circuit rankings. We know where he's going. We know what he's trying to do. We know that Fallon's going to try and defend
60.
her Women's World Match Play title at Blackpool, but she's got to get there first via the Women's Series Order of Merit.
80.
So we know where she's
Fallon,
going this
you
year,
require
as well as the
160.
Challenge Tour. We know where she's going with the second dart and the third.
140.
But that is, right there, her miss on tops tonight. She's hit that 3 times.
And she's aware of it because she's tried to avoid it at times where
96.
possible on shots like
Fallon,
say,
you
the
require
18
20.
or the 140. The
Game
140, she
shot
nearly
the
pinged on
second
that
leg.
double 10.
Fallon Sherrock.
I will say one thing. At the start of yesterday's play when she played Hendo, she looked pretty sharp
Third
to
leg, it's
me.
Ryan to throw first.
But in that second
Game
game,
on.
anything but. Her average dropped by 19 points.
140.
She looks a lot sharper in game 2 here than she did yesterday. She's got a game face on.
100. 59.
When they played yesterday, Fallon won by 4 legs to 2. That was her sole win for Thursday evening.
81.
She would love to do the double over the Lion.
And that will condense the table, because instead of saying we've got 3
48.
players from 5, we'll have 3 players from 4. It will change it from a 60% possibility to a 75.
96.
And Niall Culleton's getting drawn into this. He's now off the top of the table.
He's been reeled in like a very, very, very big fish.
140.
I think if he had any thought processes of being safe, they've been dispelled really quickly this evening.
Ryan, you require 114.
Double top.
94. Fallon, you
It's his
require
turn to underdeliver.
164.
She's scared a 160 and a 140. What about a 164? That was harder and she gets it. Wow, what a finish from Sherrock. No emotion, but that was sheer Sherrock.
Fourth leg, it's Fallon to throw
sensationalism.
Game on.
Her biggest finish of the week so far, and the second biggest of anybody.
96.
We've had 3 167s. And that's the 164 the hard way.
58.
You mentioned it before. The
97.
look, the focus, the determination. The look and focus determination we have seen already tonight from John Henderson. Another player who
60.
came into this night in a position where there is no tomorrow.
If everybody's playing a drinking game at home, please drink
84.
responsibly. If you're waiting for Matthew Edgar to say said line, so you were expecting me to say it as well, weren't you?
100.
2 fingers.
2 legs to Sherrock. I wonder how that felt for Ryan,
100.
because he thought he was taking leg 3. Denied. That's wonderful though. And I love
Fallon,
that play on 283.
124.
So sensible. But every single time she's on a finish, she scares it. It's bull again. And it's in again. Same hole.
Fallon Sherrock.
3-1 Sherrock. She's missed 140 on double 10. She's missed tops for a 160.
Leg, it's Ryan
taken a 164
Game
and
on.
a 124 on the bull. Somebody has shown her finishing skills
96.
are still there.
The average moving up towards the 90 mark, and this is probably one of the best performances we've seen from Fallon, and she's growing in confidence, growing in the performance, and she'll probably be growing in the table in the next couple of minutes, and joining John Henderson on 6 points after 6 matches played. All players will have 2 more fixtures to go, but she was on the 9.
Let's face it, if she gets start number 6, she's probably going to hit the 141. There is nothing that Ryan Palmer can do about this right now. This is an assault. To his credit, he's tapping her on the shoulder score-wise, but he needs one more error from her, and he needs to be accurate. And he is.
170. Fallon, you require 122.
That was magic. How magical is this? No shot at bull for 3 consecutive
90.
bulls.
Ryan, you require
and Palmer
60.
can survive if he hits double 8.
Game
And
shot
does.
the 5th
What a
leg.
great game this
Ryan
is.
Palmer.
I can't get enough of it.
Who was it in interview who said this week, I hope
6th
my
leg, it's
game
Fallon to throw first.
can
Game
strike
on.
the match? Because this game...
Shaun Griffiths.
97.
He's playing tonight. He's unfortunately not playing in this one, because if it was, you'd be able to say, Shaun, the match has been struck.
96.
The midpoint of this game has just ignited.
Can't remember the last time I needed somebody to pass me the oxygen tank when the averages were only 87 and 93.
137.
But the moments in this game have been plentiful. I'm not even going to forget about the fact that Palmer hit a 170 to leave that really crucial double eight. She's going to be on the finish first
140.
with a big lead. And it could well be a repeat of yesterday. And even though Ryan Palmer has raised his game
49
to a new
Fallon
level
127.
in this contest, it may well not be enough again.
55.
I think he needs a 140 minimum here.
140.
Give it a great chance of
Fallon
being
requires 72.
a full book. Double top for the win.
Game, shots,
What a
and the
performance
match.
from Fallon Sherrock. For the second consecutive day, she averages mid-90s against Ryan Palmer. What has he done to her to fire her up? The Queen of the Palace has just shown what she's capable of. Look at those metrics. Only won 180, yes. But the huge outs, the great checkout percentage, and now the chance of still qualifying because she's only 2 points behind Cullerton and Shaun Griffiths at the top of the table. And she's dead level on points with Henderson in third as well. The second half of play tonight is going to be thrilling. You do not want to miss it, so do not go far away.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where we've seen a fabulous victory for Fallon Sherrock, who got the better of Ryan Palmer by 4 legs to 2, with an average of 94.6. 2 ton-plus checkouts in that match, both coming on the bullseye, the highest of which a 164. She was also 4 out of 6 on the doubles. A really, really impressive performance there by the Queen of the Palace. We're now halfway through our fixtures for the evening, and so things really are ratcheting up in the race to get through to finals night tomorrow evening. Next up for us, it's Shaun Griffiths up against Niall Culleton, and that's going to be watched in the impeccable company of Paul Nicholson and Matthew Edgar.
Well, that's the first time I've been called impeccable for a while. Let's see how impeccable these guys are. Niall Culleton has been waiting all night to try and get to 10 points, and he has another chance here. But you do sense that if he was to lose to Shaun Griffiths and he sees his opponent get to 10 points, he's in a fairly precarious position. We thought that maybe 8 points would be semi-safe. We were right in the respect that it was only semi-safe, not fully safe. He's now got people on his heels. We'll explain that more in a second.
First leg, it's Shaun to throw first. Game on.
But if the second half of play is anywhere near as good as the first half, I want more. We've had ton-plus averages. We've had impeccable doubling. Massive checkouts.
140.
Few 180s as well. Most of them coming from Shaun Griffiths. He's got 8 in this group, more than anybody else.
140.
At the start of the session, I stood up on the balcony with Henry Deacon, and I was trying to explain the quality and the levels that the players are able to
60.
reach. And with that, I made a statement that could happen, could still happen, but at the point of
81.
making it, I thought, this is quite unlikely as much as I think it is possible. And that was Niall Culleton could go through the card, winning all his matches on day 1. He could come here in this group and lose all his matches
140.
on day 2. The performances we've seen from Shaun Griffiths, I put him in a spot of bother here.
I do as well, because if we
100.
look at what Shaun's already done,
161.
losing with an 87 against Hendo, but that was a spectacular performance from John. But then winning in response with a 91 average against Ryan Palmer. We're looking at somebody
43.
playing at a very, very competitive level. Whereas Niall, so far tonight, has averaged 77 in defeat.
60.
And not getting a shot at a double against Hendo.
118.
That doesn't make for good reading. It's not quite panic stations yet. But I think for his own sake, he'd rather get a win
58.
right now instead of having to wait
120.
to play Ryan Palmer in Game 9, who is eliminated.
25. Shaun, you require 60.
By the end of the next game, Niall Culleton could be down to 3rd.
20.
But he might be 1-0 up in
Now
3
you
darts
require
time.
95.
What did I say earlier in the week? If ifs and buts were candy and nuts. Bullseye. He might be able to use this as an assist.
70.
Oh, so close.
Shaun, you require 40.
Double top for the man throwing the javelins. A little bit lower. A little bit more right.
30.
Was
No,
he
you
put off by
required
that bad
25.
first start, do you think?
It can happen, can't it? When you throw such a wayward first start, it can throw you
Game
off for the
shot
rest
the
of the
first
visit.
leg. Niall Culleton.
Niall Culleton picks his pocket. That's what Niall Culleton's been good at, isn't it? Carving out those
Second leg, it's Niall to throw
opportunities
first.
and
Game
then
on.
striking when they appear. That's what sort of let him down in that opening game with Fallon. There was no opportunities against Hendo.
45.
How much do you want? Because as each game goes by, it looks more likely. The last game of the night between Sherrock and Henderson could possibly
100.
be a straight shootout to see who qualifies.
Well, you know how I feel about those sort of things. I love it when
100.
it's a shootout for something. Penalty shootout in football. I love that environment of amplified pressure where everything you do just counts.
100.
Are you an advocate for the penalty shootout in darts? You know about the penalty shootout, right? Where you
The bullseye.
have 3 darts at a bullseye, and if you hit a bullseye, it's classified as a
85.
goal. Same principle as a penalty shootout, you get 5 visits. And then if it's equal after 5, then you go to sudden death. I actually think that bringing that rule in
60.
is better than a 9-dart shootout, which is something we might see tomorrow.
I'd almost be surprised if we didn't.
91.
When we look at how the groups have gone and how tight they've been and the standard of the players we got through into finals night tomorrow night, I'd almost be surprised if we didn't.
60.
We've already had a couple. The first person to be eliminated from a 9-dart shootout here in Portsmouth was Lee Shewan
81.
of Lancashire. That night, it was won by Ryan Furness.
60.
And
Now
Andy
you
Hamilton got
require
through as well.
99.
99 red balloons. And it's Reddy's looking for. And Reddy
Game shot on the
finds
second leg.
somebody switched Niall on and he's
Culleton.
2-0 up. Not for the first time tonight, but the last time he was 2-0 up. He lost 4 straight
Third
after.
leg, it's Shaun to throw first. Game on.
He lost 4 straight legs and about 24 points on his average.
Okay, so he's averaging 79 so far and is 2-0 up.
115.
I think if he averages 79 from here, he might be in a bit of bother, but it's fair to say that Shaun has lost his range a bit since
30.
his first 2 games, and he has been punished for that. I think there was a big exhalation there from Shaun, as if to say, okay, get out of my way. Every now and again,
60.
a dart player will try to retrieve their darts from the board, and they might not do them correctly. Sure, that wasn't done intentionally. That's one thing we haven't had this week. We've had everything else. We haven't had any bad blood.
85.
Yet, there's plenty of time to go so far.
Don't get your hopes up, Matt. I know you like things that have wrestling references, but nobody's going to be hitting each other with a camera.
44.
There's plenty of tables, though, behind. We could see a...
Yeah, but they're not pre-broken. I think if you landed on one of those, it would hurt.
100.
He has got a bit of Bray Wyatt about him, hasn't he?
140.
Mr. Cullerton. Or is it Eric Rowan?
100.
That
Shaun,
kind
you
of
require
look.
142.
I'm not saying... I think you're just going with the fact he's got a beard.
Yeah, I am. Of course I am. But he'd be part of that
60.
ilk, wouldn't he? Part of that familia.
Which, if we did play our game that we was talking about when we had Lee Budgeon on earlier in the week, which was Super Series Guess Who, it's another player with facial hair, a player with a beard.
81.
You don't see
Shaun,
many
you
players these
require
days
82.
who are clean shaven. Seems like razors are unfashionable. Double tops aren't. Always in fashion.
42.
But don't be
Now you
surprised if
require
Cullerton goes bull
105.
here, because he's already had 2 double tops on 99. And it was the call. I think his facial expression there was as if to say,
65.
well, if only I'd hit
Shaun,
that
you
first.
require 40.
He'll be hoping that history is not going to repeat itself.
30.
But now Cullerton gets the chance for the double
Now
break.
you require 40.
This, all of a sudden, puts Griffiths in a bit of trouble.
Game
And he
shot
finds a 3-0 lead.
Niall Culleton.
Tonight is so unpredictable, I'm starting to get dizzy. I fear to think how you're feeling at home
Fourth leg, it's
watching
Niall
this.
to throw first. Game on.
It's a strange game. But if you're Cullerton, you're very happy.
121.
Yeah, we've got the benefit of all these different screens and stats and numbers in front of us, and you look at one and you think you know the way it's going, and you look back and it's all changed again. It's absolutely all over the place. We will keep you
150.
updated as much as we can, and if we'll get some graphics on screen for you near enough so you can have a look at the table, because
81.
it's changing quite drastically by the minute.
Actually, this commentary box, since we migrated here from Southampton, it's given me a really good idea for my next studio.
80.
Not exactly the worst place to commentate, is it? Two big screens. Got all these stats in front of us. Great company. Great darts to
88.
watch. We're pretty lucky people. And we are privileged to bring it to you.
100.
Cully's got 6 darts from 211 to bank 2 valuable points and a monstrous leg difference change.
140.
Was he going for a 180? Till he's 31.
For a guy who loves tops as well,
Should have gone 19s.
should have gone 17s.
55.
Well, I'm thinking 19s from the start,
No,
but
you
you're
require
right.
71.
17s with the last dart. Maybe he had a little brain freeze, but all is well in the world if he finds 14 and the tops that he was meant to leave.
31. Shaun, you require 151.
I was going to say, if he hit that, that really would have come out of
60.
the clear
No,
blue
you
sky.
require 40. Game,
But it's
shot,
red sky
and the
at
match.
night
Niall
and Cullerton's
Culleton.
delight for a 4-0 win. I did not see that coming, but he finally makes it to 10 points, and surely he has now booked his place into Saturday night. That level of 81 was good enough, and he took advantage of 9 missed darts at a double from Shaun Griffiths. We will chew the fat through that one and what has transpired throughout the night at the balcony with Henry and Matt. But we've got Ryan Palmer against John Henderson next. And Hendo will have a chance to get to 8 points alongside Griffiths. Hendo, after the next match, could be in second position.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where we are 6 games down for our evening session. Matthew Edgar is with me up here on the balcony to assess what we have seen and look ahead to the race to the finish that is to come here in Group B. Let's dot the I's and cross the T's of our previous game, which saw Niall Culleton a 4-0 victor over Shaun Griffiths with an 81.24 average, 4 out of 7, 57%, high checkout 99, just kind of standard stuff really.
Yeah, there's always a point in a tournament and a phase like this when you've got all these games where you go, where did that come from? It could be something that's really good, could be something on the negative side. For me, that was there for Shaun Griffiths. Shaun Griffiths has been very good in this group. He's been very consistent, and out of nowhere, that performance there in the low 70 averages, 0 from 9 on the doubles, he was looking frustrated. That's something he's really kept a lid on. He's had this controlled aggression about him, but this time that took over.
How much did Niall Culleton need that win there?
Absolutely. If he'd have lost that, after this game, he could be down to 3rd place. If. This is the word of the night, isn't it? I mean, me and Paul Nicholson are sat downstairs, and it's always saying, if this happens, if that happens, because this table is getting shook up big time. And it comes down to that if, because realistically, when we looked at the table at the start of the day, we probably said there was one place to fight for those 3 players at the bottom there. However, 2 of them have really turned up tonight and are really putting in a big performance.
Indeed, and even Niall Culleton on 10, it could be absolute carnage. Well, it has been quite the evening, hasn't it? And we're 6 games down, 4 more to go here at the Super Series. We're going to see John Henderson in action in our next one. He takes on Ryan Palmer. Let's hand over to Matthew Edgar, who's going to join Paul Nicholson.
Thanks again, Henry. This is the 3rd instalment for all of the John Henderson fans, and the same for the Ryan Palmer fans from Bristol. They've had very, very different nights. Ryan Palmer is the only person yet to register a win tonight. But Hendo is perfecto. 8 legs to 0. He has won tonight. He has denied both of his opponents any opportunities to win legs against him. And if he can do that again, he'll put maximum pressure on 2 players in the table. First, if he wins this match, he will go to 2nd place, above Shaun Griffiths.
It's trying to throw first. Game on.
And that may change the outlook of Sherrock, who plays Griffiths next. This is one of the best Group B scenarios that I've seen in months.
100.
I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what happens next. But now we ask a very
44.
stiff question of John. How's the engine? I think he's
41.
playing in his 9th consecutive day.
$97.
I think it's 8 straight days. I've just checked my diary on my smart device. When you're playing 8 straight days, you are going to get tired at times. But there is something else I'd like to mention. When you've been doing it day in, day out, your body and your mind will get used to the exertions that you're putting in. So far, so good tonight, like I've said. And it might be becoming easier to do
59.
As I re-enter the commentary box, I'd just like to start off with a statement of apology to Mr. John Henderson and friends and family of Mr. John Henderson.
97.
Because on my way up to speak to Mr. Deacon on the balcony, I may have accidentally, inadvertently, hit John Henderson with a door.
40.
Why would you do such a thing?
Well, I didn't know he was on the other side of it, and I was sort of... I was going through and he was there. I mean, why would you stand in front of a door, John?
100.
Well, if you're going to hit John with a door, I know that the door got the worst of it. Don't worry. He'll be fine.
100. John, you require 80.
Let's find out if he's all right.
Well, if he takes this, that'll be another leg where no one's had a dart at the double to take a leg off of John Henderson today.
Game shot on the first leg.
This is getting
John
silly.
Henderson.
Honestly, I'm going to rename this guy Bulletproof. No darts at a
Second
double
leg, it's
against this
Shaun
guy
to throw
all
first.
night.
Game on.
Imagine if it happens for the whole night.
Yeah, I like that nickname, Bulletproof, because right now he's literally got nothing to lose.
60.
Fire away, John. Fire away.
Did you just go full on Stephen Bunting's walk-on song there?
I might have.
100.
Darts nerd alert to my left.
Darts nerd alert to my right, who
140.
knew that a bit of David Guetta was attached to Stephen Bunting.
Oh, there you go. Sung by Sia, I believe.
41.
But the name of that song is wrong for a dart player because it's titanium. It should be tungsten. Tungsten's a better metal. Tungsten's what they use in light
100.
bulbs, isn't it? That's the conducting metal in the light bulb.
I'm just singing it in my head and replacing the word titanium for tungsten.
140.
I've already tried. Not enough syllables. Not enough trebles for Ryan.
55.
About 3 singles here will get him to a finish, but he'd love a bit more than that. He's left
41.
frustrated one more time.
John, you require 146.
And John's got plenty of time to take a 2-0 lead. Yeah, that'll do.
100.
He's picking off scores like that more often tonight than at any point this week. And he's averaging over 102 for the night so far.
99.
Remember that.
John, you require 46.
46 to make it 10 legs without a dart being thrown at a double. Not losing a leg, having a dart thrown against him.
26.
This could be the
Ryan,
one.
you require
Leg 10
80.
might be the first time he sees a dart go at a double to take a leg from him in this phase of play.
There it is.
60.
First dart against him all night, but it doesn't register.
John, you require 20.
Hendo goes for 10 of the best. I did see a 10.
10. Ryan,
10
you
is what he
require
scores.
20.
And
Game
double 10
shot on the
is what
second
Ryan
leg.
Palmer finds.
Ryan Palmer.
There's a little bit of a change in the form of Hendo in this one. Not to the same level as earlier. He's dropped by
Third
about
leg, it's Ryan
15
to throw
points.
first. Game on.
I received a communication from his wife Veronica a little bit earlier on
85.
this evening. An insightful text message that said his motivation tonight was purely because he felt embarrassed with the way he played
140.
yesterday. Sometimes that can be its only motivation. I want to put right what happened yesterday.
43.
And it kind of goes inside with that text message you received from John where he says, "This ain't me."
140.
That came in the very early hours of yesterday where he said, "That's not me." Boy, has he put it right. But the job isn't done yet.
59.
If you're coming here tomorrow night via your dartshop.tv ticket to the Modus Live Lounge for the Week 12 finals,
140.
I'm pretty sure you want to see Hendo here. You're not going to see Ryan Palmer. He's not going to qualify. Looks like you're going to see Niall Culleton, Richard North and Jared Cole,
John, you require
and Lee Budgeon
81.
will be there. Who's going to get the last 2 spots?
Remember, my opinion is you are going to see the most competitive, most high
Game shot on
quality
the third leg.
finals
John
night so
Henderson.
far, which John Henderson is taking big strides to booking himself in and being a part of that party.
Fourth leg, it's John to throw first.
No Hendo,
Game
no
on.
party. Break
100.
a throw for John in leg 3. And he seems to be palming off
95.
his opponent. Oh, it's such a Chris Murphy joke.
It's not even 12 o'clock yet, so you can't blame the clock on that one.
100.
I'm blaming Chris Murphy. One of our commentary colleagues who graces this commentary
60.
box every now and again. And a big shout out to everybody who's been a part of Super Series 2, who's helped along the way from the backstage area, on the stage, and the players, of course, including the referees, the players, the producers, all of the commentating squad, and the support staff who look after the welfare of the players.
58.
They all deserve a shout out because the end of Super Series 2 is within 8 days. It's almost payday
180
for all of the players at the top of the Super Series 2 mountain, and Hendo is inching closer to the payday of week 12.
61.
Single 14 for tops.
21.
That was a very safe one.
Ryan, you require 148.
Just hasn't had that concentration around the inner ring
92.
over the last couple of days.
John, you require 40.
And Hendo's getting too many chances.
Game
And he's
shot
taking
the
them as well.
fourth.
He's
John
not only
Henderson.
finding the brilliant legs, but he's scrapping and getting the third dart conversions as well.
Fifth leg, it's Ryan to throw first.
As it
Game on.
stands, before this game even started, he was on 6 points and +4.
140.
Let's say conservatively, because Ryan's throwing first here, if John can win 4-2, he would go to 8 points and +6.
100.
5 legs in front of Shaun Griffiths. And he plays Sherrock next. Fascinating stuff.
78.
Just trying to work out that if Shaun Griffiths
36.
beats Fallon, that's pretty much the top 3 confirmed.
Yeah, Shaun would be on 10.
98.
Henderson would be on 8 with a vastly better leg difference. But then there is the possibility of the swing in the final game between Hendo and Sherrock.
140.
We'll see what happens. But it's very, very dependent on what Hendo does now,
95.
what Sherrock does next, and what Griffiths does as well. The Niall Culleton Ryan Palmer game in Game 9 is almost a dead rubber at this point.
105.
What did I say to Henry on the balcony?
Ryan, you require 90.
If. That is tonight.
That would be a really interesting libation game for this time on a Friday.
65.
The if drinking game.
John,
There's
you
the first
require
one.
120.
John Henderson will win this match if he finds treble 20 in tops.
It's 4 fingers now.
80. Ryan, you require 25.
We should tot all these up, and you should have to do them for the Royal Rumble tomorrow night.
Treble 12. He was so disgusted with that dart, he decided to retreat.
13.
And that one doesn't bail him out
John, you require 40.
for another notch on his belt on Friday night.
Game,
He starts
shot,
Saturday
and the match.
morning
John
with
Henderson.
a 4-1 win. 3 from 3, playing really good stuff. He started with 2-ton-plus averages tonight, but when he needed to scrap a little bit more, he found something with an improved engine in the early hours of Saturday morning. Ryan Palmer will wave goodbye to the Super Series in Super Series 2 when he plays Niall Culleton in match 9. Hendo will now wait to see what he needs to do against Fallon Sherrock in match 10. But before we get to those last 2 matches, we have a blockbuster between Griffiths and Sherrock to see what the permutations are going into the final furlong after the break.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where John Henderson's impressive night continues. A 4-1 success against Ryan Palmer, and that was actually the first leg he dropped all evening long, averaging 87 in the process. The solitary max in the match. Big John Henderson is on the charge. So just 3 games to go, and it is all to play for here in Group B. Next up for us is Fallon Sherrock up against Shaun Griffiths, and that's going to be watched in the company of Paul Nicholson and Matthew Edgar.
Thank you, Henry. We've been looking at the table, we've been scouring through, and we've now narrowed down that line of if to just if. Just one if. And that is if Shaun Griffiths is to beat Fallon Sherrock in this match, we will know the top 3. The top 3, Niall Culleton, John Henderson and Shaun Griffiths. However, different word for you. If Fallon Sherrock is to win this one, it is still all to play for, and she will move into her game against John Henderson, where legs could be enough potentially to get her through. There's a lot to play for, but the first thing is just to look at the result of this game. Shaun Griffiths wins, it's all over, and we know our lineup for Saturday night.
One thing is also sure.
60.
If Fallon wins this match. Indeed, if Shaun wins the match. Hendo's through. It's a Hendo party on Saturday night in Portsmouth.
So if you've been wanting to
135.
come and meet the Highlander, come and watch him in action, you've now got your opportunity to do so, and it will cost you nothing. Just your time.
96.
Get onto dartshop.tv, head on down to Portsmouth. Could be here tomorrow night with John Henderson. You could see John Henderson being handed the giant novelty check.
100.
You could even drive down from Scotland. If you set off in about 6 hours, you'll get here in plenty of time. But Sherrock has got to stay on that kind of form that she showed against Ryan Palmer.
137.
That mid-90s range would definitely be handy here. And especially if she's finishing at around the 2/3 ratio. At 164 earlier, the most impressive finish of the night. Griffiths playing his last
43.
game of his session is the first person to complete his quarter. After this, he can do absolutely nothing.
60.
I think these two will know each other quite well. There's only 3 years between them, but they would have seen each other coming through the youth ranks around 15 years ago, maybe.
60. Fallon, you require 148.
Yeah, it'd be weird to know what the different stories are around certain players as Fallon's looking to add
120.
that list of
Shaun, you
finishers, looking
require
to add a 148.
123.
Something she'll be hoping to add is a leg.
It's quite incredible just how many big finishes she has scared so far tonight. This is another big scare.
98.
Fine
Fallon,
margins so far in this one. As Fallon goes for 14s. Oh, that's a slip. Double 8. That is monstrous.
Fallon Sherrock.
Great save. Griffiths had his chance at the bullseye for the break of throw. First blood.
Second
Fallon.
leg, it's Shaun to throw first. Game on.
Yeah, that first one coming low, it couldn't have gone any worse, really. She just come inside. She should have got the 2 darts at the 7-7 instead. Moving down, but a great save, as you say. Really good recovery.
180.
Shaun Griffiths is in another maximum.
We haven't seen a great deal of maximums tonight. One of the things that has been missing. We've only seen 2 from Hendo, 2 from Sherrock, none from Cullerton or Palmer. But as far as Mr. Griffiths is concerned, he's had the most tonight
96.
and the most last night. He's got 4 this evening, and he had 5 last night. That's a very good effort.
And with Shaun, they tend to come in clusters as well, I've noticed. Like
44.
the 3 he hit before this all came in that game against Ryan Palmer. And yesterday as well, there was think there's 5 180s across 2 matches. A 2 and a 1 and a 3 in the other.
Yeah, that's true. 3 in his first game, 2 in his second.
So if he does cluster them together, that might be a bit of a warning shot there to the Fallon followers.
Shaun, you require 140.
The closer this one gets, the more dramatic it will feel. Just be nice and safe in the top left corner of the single 20 here.
100.
It's a lovely dart. Fallon way back. Not really stressing out at this point of the game.
77.
She plays a lot of best of 7
Shaun,
darts.
you require 40.
She knows how to pace herself in this format.
Game shot on the second leg.
Knows that 13 darter is a sign that maybe Griffiths is getting his form back after a very suspect performance against Cullerton in game 6.
Third leg, it's Fallon to throw
His
first.
worst performance of the week, where he missed all 9 shots at doubles in that match and only averaged 71 and a bit.
56.
Shaun Griffiths could find himself in that horrible position for dart players where he could end up looking at Saturday night's final through a TV screen. And that is, he could be sat watching and hoping John Henderson does him a favour. Or he could go for plan B. And when I mentioned that he has those clusters of 180s, when he starts firing them in games, they come in groups. That is 2 already.
He's doing it again. He did it at the start of his campaign yesterday. Tonight he's doing it at the end.
140.
5 perfect darts. And Sherrock's throw has really been under threat so far in this game. She dodged a bullet in leg 1. He hastened to say that Griffiths is a big favourite to take leg 3.
If he wasn't,
140.
he is now. 180, 140, 140 on the back of a 13 darter in the last leg.
140. Shaun, you require 41.
You'd be very wise to take this out.
Game shot on the
He
third
was
leg.
wise with an
Shaun
11
Griffiths.
darter. You've got to stop Fallon getting looks at things like 107s because she's a big threat on those 3 dot combinations.
Game on.
That is a big break of throw.
And that is 2 legs wrapped up in just 24 darts. And that is why he's averaging 113.69. A solid quality performance here from Shaun Griffiths.
You're talking about gaps between certain statistics.
22.
How on earth do you jump from 71 and change to 112 in a matter of no time at all? Darts is weird sometimes.
What did I say when I spoke to Henry on the balcony and he asked me about the Shaun Griffiths performance? I said,
45.
there'll always be these sort of performances in the day where you go, where did that come from? Whether it's for the good or for the bad. In that situation, we were talking about Shaun Griffiths in the negative sense. 73 average, 0 from 9 on the doubles. We could be about to say the same, but for the other end of the spectrum.
It's the old feast or famine thing, isn't it? He's already had the famine. Now he's really hungry.
60.
What is it they say up north? Fill your boots, kid. Or as we say in Newcastle, fill your boots, pet.
99.
That was a sensible switch there. On 3-4-3, you can't leave a finish. But taking the switch with dart 3 just allowed her to leave a number at the end, which could potentially
60.
leave something very gettable after this turn. That's what she's hoping for. But more than anything else, she wants a break straight back.
44.
Ouch. She hasn't had a great deal of joy on that treble 18. There's been quite a few darts over the last 2 nights which have hit the single or treble 4.
100.
Right now, you're thinking leave 60. Or even 20 would be much better.
140. Shaun, you require 143.
Struggling to get a read on Shaun at the moment, aren't we? He did those 2 legs in 24 darts, and then after 15 darts, he still wants around about the 150 mark.
60. Fallon, you require 60.
No game has gone the distance so far tonight.
Game
But
shot
this
on the
one
fourth
might.
leg. Fallon Sherrock.
So far, they can't be separated, and Sherrock immediately breaks back.
Fifth leg, it's Fallon to throw first. Game on.
We've had a couple of 4-1s, a couple of 4-0s. Actually, we've had 3 4-0s, 2 of them from John Henderson.
100.
A couple of 4-2s, but nothing in 7 legs. Another 180 for Griffiths. That's 3.
180.
It's weird how it happens with Griffiths, isn't it? I say it just comes in groups, comes in bundles.
97.
She doesn't give much away, but right now she's thinking, with those 180s, will he just go away? I think her biggest
95.
strength is the ability to focus and not give your opponent any information. She can remain poker-faced throughout. And that's her first maximum.
180.
That was one of my tips for the evening. For her to get 1 or more maximum in this game at 8 to 11.
44. Fallon,
you
you
took that
require
one.
124.
Well done. You're in the money. Who's in the money in this leg, though? That 180 was massive for Sherrock, and she's going for it.
99.
I'm surprised, but she's feeling aggressive. She almost took 304 in 6.
$60.
And
Fallon,
right
you
now, you
require
just feel that
25.
Shaun Griffiths is getting a bowl of that sick that we spoke about yesterday, because he's averaging over 100.
21.
He's facing darts there
Shaun,
to
you
go
require
behind.
122.
I think his soup would taste a lot better if he finds 54 in bull. The bull.
97.
Second time he's missed it in the match.
Fallon, you require 4.
And Fallon needs a double that she hasn't had a look at so far tonight. That's awkward. That's why.
Game
That
shot on the
is
fifth
precise.
leg. Fallon Sherrock.
That might be the best dart she's thrown this evening, and she's thrown a stack of good ones.
Sixth leg, it's Shaun to throw first.
Yeah,
Game
you
on.
said it was awkward, and you saw with the second dart, it hit the barrel and just come low, and there was no way through. She had to move right over to the far side of the oche. Was able just to pitch over the dart
140.
that was in the way. A really well thrown dart there, and she takes the lead. And Shaun Griffiths continues to average over 100 like he has throughout this match, and he is losing
96.
despite the fact he's got a 16-point better average.
This is a tremendous contest. I really do admire what Shaun's up to. He is hanging on for dear life. He's been in a qualifying spot
140.
since his very first game yesterday when he beat Sherrock by 4 legs to 0. But right now, she's trying to do what Kelly Holmes used to do in the 800 and 1500 meters. She's trying to save her best for the final 100.
57.
The closer this is, the better it is for the leg difference for Hendo. He's looking super safe right now.
140.
Yeah, I make this
Shaun, you
that
require
if Shaun Griffiths can win this
164.
leg, he forces Fallon to beat Hendo if he loses.
He's going for a 164. And she can't take a 165, remember?
96.
This is a big shot for Shaun Griffiths. How much pressure will it be under here from Fallon?
47.
Not as much as she would have hoped.
Shaun requires 68.
So to put himself in a fairly strong position, he'll have a one-leg shootout with Fallon to do it himself.
Game, Shaun.
That is really good. A 14-darter from Shaun. We're going the distance in what has been a fabulous game.
Shaun's winning legs.
Final leg. It's Fallon to throw first. Game
11, 14.
38 darts.
26.
Wow, that is over 116 for his winning legs. That's why his current average in this 6-leg match is over the 100 mark.
100.
Bad start for Sherrock.
And Shaun's got, like I say, there's two chances now. He can either win it himself here. If he wins this leg, he is through, as is John Henderson and Niall Culleton.
132.
If Fallon Sherrock wins this, she could still go through only if she beats John Henderson.
100.
Marvellous switch. And she banks 6 19s to take a 92-point lead. That's perfect. That's aggressive.
140.
He's first to the finish. Can Sherrock defy this brilliance from Griffiths? Troubleless.
57.
And he gets
Shaun
first look.
161.
It's as if Shaun throws first in the match now from this position. 161 with the darts against 152 against. Just needs one treble. He's found it. 98 to go. Give anything for another treble right now. That is quality. What a final leg this is from Griffiths.
152.
Can she do it? Can she do it? Can she hit it? Oh boy, that was close.
136.
What an effort again on a massive checkout. And Griffiths, whose heartbeat is probably going 150 a minute, now has one dart.
22.
And he misses, giving Sherrock more chances.
Fallon
He can do no more.
16. No
But
score.
Fallon hits the wrong bed.
Shaun requires 16.
How ironic. She's just hit the double that she missed to win the match in the previous visit. I thought that was in.
12.
And we know that that's not. That's 4
Fallon
match darts
requires
missed
16.
by Griffiths. She comes straight back without hesitation.
Game,
And she wins the match.
And the match.
Griffiths
Fallon
can do
Sherrock.
no more. The drama in that game was palpable throughout this whole arena. And she wins by 4 legs to 3. And she goes to 8 points in the table. Griffiths will have to wait. And so will we. What a dramatic game. You can see the chasm between the averages. Almost 15 points. But it meant nothing in that dramatic 7-leg contest. We'll take a breather now, but when we come back, we will see Palmer and Cullerton go at it, and we will have confirmed permutations for you to see who could qualify in the top 3 in Group B this week.
This is the MODUS Super Series. $180.
And so the final game of Group B will decide the progression route through Group B. Is going all the way down to the wire, and that is courtesy of a 4-3 victory for Fallon Sherrock against Shaun Griffiths. Griffiths, who averaged 97, hit 3 maximums and 30% on the doubles, but it wasn't enough to claim victory against Sherrock, who keeps her hopes alive, which means it will go down to that final game of the group against John Henderson. Next up for us is a final meeting in this group for Niall Culleton and Ryan Palmer. For Ryan, he will depart following the conclusion of this game, whilst for Niall, we will see him tomorrow night at finals night. To describe all the action from this one, here's Paul Nicholson and Matthew Edgar.
Yes, we have collected our thoughts, Henry, and it's time to divert our attention to the last game in group play for this guy. He's had quite the week. 15 games in Group A, and this is his 23rd game of the week. Whereas this is the 8th and final game of the week for Ryan Palmer. As to how he feels about his efforts so far in this group, you'd have to ask him, but you don't need to be a genius to find out maybe that he's disappointed with 0 points so far tonight and only 2 overall.
Yeah, we'd have wanted a bit more than that, especially when, you know, he's talking beforehand about being
First
top of
leg, it's Niall to throw
ranking list
first.
on the ADC.
Game on.
But this has been a mightily competitive and tough group. A group that, if Fallon does get that victory over John Henderson and does qualify,
22.
the 4 players that we predicted for Group B and C would be correct.
42.
We get it right now and again, but I think what we should do is fully focus on these 2 guys here. And when it comes to Henderson Sherrock, which is an incredible climax to qualifying for Week 12 finals.
100.
It's pretty simple, and I'm very glad it's simple, not only for us in the commentary box and for the viewers at home,
97.
but also for the players. The last thing you want to do in a final game of a group is have to win by a certain margin for it to be really confusing. And I'm really pleased
81.
for Niall as well, because throughout the early portion of tonight's group, he found himself in peril. But that really, really big win for him against Shaun Griffiths in Game 6 has given him a really comfortable seat for the climax of this group. Ryan Palmer has just hit his first maximum
100.
of the entire evening.
$97.
Yeah, well, we're really big fans of Niall Culleton around here. He brought his brownies, I've got to say that.
So what are you ordering for tomorrow?
On my way past, he asked if I'd
98.
seen the brownies yet. I
Ryan,
said,
you
yes, I've
require
had one.
85.
I says, any chance of a bit of cheesecake tomorrow?
Game shot on the first leg.
Well,
Ryan Palmer.
That's the first leg to Ryan Palmer, and he looks like he's in a hurry.
Second leg, it's Ryan to throw
That was a great first leg.
Game on.
14 darts. Just about as good as he's been the last couple of
64.
days. Well, technically, he's played over 3 days because it's Saturday now, and he started on Thursday evening.
39.
Niall sent me a message yesterday saying that he is a carpenter by trade.
Has he ever chopped wood?
59.
Because that was my assumption yesterday when we played the assumption game. I believe he might have been a wood chopper.
Apparently he is a carpenter, and he used to be a security guard. Well,
140.
I can well believe that. His previous sports interests include playing rugby.
41.
And he used to play for Leinster as a prop hooker and a number 8. I can believe that too. Now we're starting to get to the root of why he
95.
is and looks so strong. Can you imagine running into him at speed? I'd rather not. Be a bit like running into a door. Sorry, Matt.
89.
He shook Paul Nicholson's hand on Monday when he came in, and Paul Nicholson looked like a jackhammer.
Honestly, it was like shaking
81.
hands with Thanos. With the gauntlet on.
100.
Some people have just got like,
No, you
really,
require
really strong hands.
146.
And you expect carpenters to have sharp and very, very strong hands.
84.
That'll do.
Ryan, you require 148.
That's nice. That was almost just as nice.
132.
He's playing with a
No,
bit of
you
freedom
require
now, is Ryan.
62.
He's missed a single. He's reverted to type from the first couple of games from the night, where he was a little bit erratic. I've just noticed on the pocket of that shirt, he's got the word shooter.
21. Ryan, you require
Does he
60.
think, yeah, shooter McGavin?
That's twice.
No score.
Twice I was about to say something, and you've jumped in there and said exactly what I was going to say.
We are of a like mind.
No, you require 41.
If he wins tomorrow night, he's got to do the shooter McGavin celebration. The old pistols. Double top.
31.
Meant to be, and Ryan Palmer
Ryan, you
comes back
require
for double
16.
8, which he missed last time.
8.
All too often, he has been giving
No, you require
opportunities
10.
to his opponents.
Game
And
shot
all
on the
too often,
second
they've been
leg.
taking them as
Niall
well. It's 1-all.
Culleton.
The reference there was a film called Happy Gilmore, an Adam Sandler movie.
Third leg,
I
it's
think there's a
not to
more
throw
relevant
first. Game on.
Scene when we're talking about winning this, and it could be where he wanted paying, and he's like, well, why can't I just have one of those big ones like he's got?
There you go.
180.
That's a proper big novelty check moment from a movie. And he starts putting them in the back of his car.
140.
Well, if anybody was going to collect giant novelty checks, it'd probably be people like Richie Burnett, who was the first person to get a big novelty check
81.
in Southampton. As far as weekly titles are concerned, the biggest hitters in Super Series history, Robert Owen and Conan Whitehead.
100.
With 5, I believe. That's some effort.
$95.
We might still have 2 previous weekly champions in the tournament's history in
140.
tomorrow night. We've
No, you
definitely got
require
one in
145.
Jared Cole. Fallon Sherrock is the other one. When she won her weekly title in
85.
Southampton,
Ryan, you require
she beat
121.
Wayne Warren, a former world champion, in the final.
57.
Cully take the lead.
No, you require 60.
I didn't even check the moon tonight for the werewolf.
Game shot.
And he
the third
howls
leg.
into the
Niall
lead.
Culleton.
Tell you what, you're going to get this reference. Because I'm surveying this dart shirt with a
Fourth leg, it's
microscope.
Ryan to throw first.
I've already gone for the
Game
front
on.
pocket. How about the back? Looks like Thundercats.
140.
You've got to remember that, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see it again now. I forgot what it looks like.
81.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, you're giving me a C- on that one.
60.
You're not convinced, are you?
I think you had it closer with the Cobra Kai.
Yeah, okay, I'll give myself that one. That's a delightfully
121.
naff show, but I still watch every single episode. I think Niall has definitely pitched his tent. He's more Cobra Kai than Miyagi-Do.
59.
Ryan is struggling a little bit
47.
as he replaces his glasses. One of 3 players who are bespectacled this evening. These two and Sherrock.
59.
We like bonus content here, especially for the MODUS Super Series YouTube channel. And I'm still adamant that we should have had a Guess Who
60.
this week. Because, again, does he wear glasses? Me and you could have sat down to a bit of bonus content playing a Guess Who of this week's Super Series players. Because I think there's enough defining characteristics
43.
between them. It would make it a good game.
Right, we'll get on to the producers then and get them to create this Super Series Guess Who. We may be onto something here. I'd gladly play it.
100. Ryan, you require 140.
You know, one question you shouldn't ask, though, on this week's Super Series Guess Who? Is this player a potential winner of this week? Because you won't be knocking anyone down.
108. No, you require 92.
92 for a 3-1 advantage. He looks at that in borderline shock, as if to say, how dare you hit a 5? How dare you hit a 3?
68.
And that 60
Ryan, you
comes
require
2 dots
32.
too late.
Game
Because
shot, the
Ryan
fourth
has
leg.
equalised.
Ryan Palmer.
We've just had our first 4-3 scoreline of the night. And again, Ryan
Fifth
is
leg, it's
just
Niall to
cleaning
throw
the glasses
first.
a bit. This is
Game
one of the
on.
reasons why I got eye surgery. Because you don't have to clean your glasses when that happens. Not exactly the best-selling slogan, is it?
41.
One of the good things about wearing glasses, though, is it gives you an opportunity for variety.
100.
Can you imagine if... Oh, actually, he does wear glasses, doesn't he, Peter Wright? I think he's got about 50 pairs of those as well.
I just can't
140.
imagine the jingle of come get some eye surgery so you don't have to wipe your glasses every now and then.
Well, a marketing agency could make something of that, I
58.
assure you. One thing we haven't seen from
78.
Shooter, as he's got on his shirt this week, is a shirt that has a full zip from top to bottom.
100.
That's quite a fashionable thing in American dart shirts and Japanese. But he has got quite the collection, hasn't he?
92.
Wonder if he saved himself a naughty little number for finals night.
We have to find out from him how many shirts he's got, because
57.
we know
No, you
that
require 150.
Peter Jakes, a former weekly finalist and winner here, has got 8 different colours.
70.
He went for 3 balls on 150. Of course he did. It's becoming more ubiquitous.
60. No, you require 80.
Well, if he went for 3 balls, I would expect he's going to go 2 tops.
What's wrong with double 15 bull?
Game
What's
shot
wrong with
the
that?
fifth
Nothing.
leg. Niall Culleton.
He was destined to finish that leg on the bullseye.
Sixth leg, it's Ryan
I've
to
got to
throw
feel sorry for
first.
Ryan a little
Game
bit here
on.
because he's worked so hard the last couple of days. He's come up very dry. And I don't want him to go back to Bristol feeling bad.
134.
I want him to feel good about where his game is at. I don't want his confidence to be dented. And if this is to be the last leg of his challenge here, thank you for coming by, Ryan. We've loved having you here. You're a great, great part of the English
60.
darting family. And whatever you do for the next few months, all the very best to you.
I'm sure
100.
we'll see him again here soon.
Do you think he would benefit from having a crack at a Group A? Or do you think he should persevere with a
59.
2-day group? And maybe his next challenge could be a Group C, where he's just got a couple of extra games. And try a different time slot as well.
60.
I don't think it's this part he's got to work on. I think it's the getting here, the preparation. The getting here
41.
so he can bring his A game He alluded to it in the interview himself, his words, that when he comes to these bigger events, he gets tense and he doesn't allow his natural ability to come through.
85.
And he's waiting for it. And the problem is when you're waiting for it to happen, you're only getting older. The years are going past. Time is passing. And before you know it, you look back and
59.
go, ah, well,
Now you
maybe my
require
job's going to take a bit of
116.
priority now. Or, oh, I can't go and do this.
Can Cullerton do this?
Game,
You bet he
shot,
can.
and
What
the
a way
match,
to sign
Niall
off
Culleton.
from Group B. He finishes on 12 points, and he's going to win the group as well. Many congratulations to Niall, who lost his first 2 games of the evening, but after that, he really did take heed of the warning and won the next 2. But it's all about the final game of this group. We will talk to you about the permutations. They are very, very simple. But when we come back, it's Hendo versus Sherrock for a place in the finals in week 12.
Niall Culleton has prepared for tomorrow night's finals in fine fettle, rounding off his Group B campaign with a 4-2 success against Ryan Palmer, who departs the competition at this particular juncture. We will see him again soon, though, here at the MODUS Super Series. So then, just one final game to go here in Group B at the Super Series. It sees John Henderson up against Fallon Sherrock, and it's going to be watched in the company of Paul Nicholson and Matthew Edgar.
Thank you, Henry. One more game, and it's a big one. When they were up against each other yesterday, it was tight. It was 7 legs, and Hendo nicked it. They both averaged over 90. It was a quality contest. But in that game, there was a checkout. that if John didn't hit it, he would have lost the game, in my opinion. It was 112. And he was 67%.
First leg, it's John to throw first. Game on.
On the outer ring, and he needed to be. He's got the darts today. And here is how this works. If Henderson wins,
45.
he will have second place in the table, and he will take Shaun Griffiths with him to Saturday night.
60.
If Fallon Sherrock wins, she goes through. That's it.
So the easiest way to look at this is when you're actually looking at John Henderson.
100.
Just imagine that's Shaun Griffiths, because that's the situation that's playing here. Shaun Griffiths has gone backstage and he has tagged in John Henderson.
180.
Let's just boil it down and make it nice and easy. You think this game's all about John Henderson, don't you? I think it's all about Fallon Sherrock. It's basically a winning-in situation for her. This is a knockout match. And how many times in her career has she had a
41.
game like this, which is knife edge?
And it was interesting looking at the graphics at the start that was going around your screen.
95.
And it was interesting to see the averages in their Super Series careers are pretty much level. Both 86.5. Hardly anything in it. John Henderson, 4% better on the checkouts, which tells me if their averages are the same but she's 4 points less on the checkouts, to make those level, she is a better scorer than John Henderson.
Fallon, you require 80.
So far she is. She's been deadly on the doubling at points tonight.
60. John, you
need John
require
to miss this 140.
140.
A narrow miss on the first 60 means that she will return on double 10. For a
43.
first leg break of throw.
Fallon, you require 20.
That's mission 1. Consider mission 1 accomplished.
Fallon Sherrock.
Talk about missions. There's one thing this is not.
Second leg, it's Fallon to throw
impossible.
first. Game on.
She's done the hard work. She has got now the advantage of throw.
140.
I think she's looked incredibly sharp tonight. This is the kind of player that she showed at Q School and at the Challenge Tour. And both of these guys
60.
were at Q School and the Challenge Tour. They've been playing a lot of darts recently, and they've got every excuse to feel sharp.
83.
You have to say that maybe Fallon is the fresher of the two, because she didn't play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday like John did.
140.
This is his 23rd game of the week. This is her 8th.
96.
The only solace here for Hendo is that he knows he's through. He's done a remarkable job so far tonight, putting in massive numbers. And the fact that he's done it with a game to spare just goes to show how good he has been. And he's going to have to play another day in succession tomorrow. But tomorrow
82.
is where you can
John, you
really
require 161.
vault that check up. They're guaranteed £500 for being in tomorrow night.
59. Fallon, you require 100.
I was going to say big moment, but everyone is. There is nothing that isn't a big moment in this
80.
game.
John, you
She
require
needed 2 bites of the cherry to
102.
take leg 1. Is she going to get a second bite in this leg? Hold that thought.
82.
Yes, she does.
Fallon, you require 20.
Hit it on the second dart last time.
Game shot on the second leg.
Same
Fallon Sherrock.
thing again. 2-0 and she's halfway there.
Shaun Griffiths
Third
now
leg, it's John
must
to throw
be
first.
sweating.
Game on.
Because if Fallon Sherrock wins this, Shaun Griffiths goes out. However, again, full context.
140.
Shaun Griffiths, if he does go out by this way, has only got himself to blame. He had 6 darts to win the game against Fallon Sherrock,
60.
which would make this situation non-existent.
Well said, Matt. It's very easy, and usually it does happen.
100.
Dart players finding an excuse as to why they haven't got to the next level. But ultimately, we have to look ourselves in the mirror and say,
100.
I didn't do enough. And somebody, whoever that is, in about 10, 12 minutes' time, they're going to have to do that.
45.
John Henderson has been brilliant tonight. Came in, steely, determined.
100.
Just like Fallon, a pair of them needed big results, and they're coming into this last game of Group B, both undefeated.
96.
Whoever goes through, trust me, you want to be here tomorrow night. It's going to be an amazing Week 12 finals.
121.
I've got to be really honest.
John, you require 120.
I think the Group A winner, Lee Budgeon, will go in as one of the underdogs. Double top.
100. Fallon, you require 120.
She hit what John's just missed. Not meant to be on this
60.
occasion.
John, you
And now
require
it's Hendo's
20.
turn at double 10.
Game
And he
shot
finds
the
it.
third leg.
So 3 legs
John
down,
Henderson.
3 double 10s. Could it be one of those matches where every leg is won on the same double?
Fourth leg, it's Fallon to throw first. Game on.
One thing we will do at the conclusion of this match as well, it's not just telling you who's through, but it'll be where they play, in which group they will be in. I'm not going to spoil the surprise. I'm going to leave that to Henry.
81.
She can't take her foot off the gas.
96.
She really has played well tonight. It was a gritty one against Cullerton by 4 legs to 2. But then she went up a notch against Ryan Palmer. She's played her best stuff against him the last couple of nights, doing the double over him. Another 94 average against the man from Bristol in a 4-2 win. And then that grueling battle with Griffiths, averaging just shy of 83. She's going to get 6 darts from 163.
60.
And how's the engine of Hendo? He really did run out of petrol at this time yesterday. For me, he looks a bit sharper.
131.
And I wouldn't just say this time yesterday. He's done it all week. And this is the 5th day of action. So when something happens once, okay.
140.
When it happens twice,
Fallon, you require 32.
3 times a pattern, 4 times a problem.
Game shot on the fourth leg.
3-1 Sherrock. What a leg that was. A superb approach from 163 with a 131 and a pinpoint double 16. And now she has 3 chances to get what she requires, which is 4 legs. That was a 13 darter, Matt. At this time.
137.
And on the outside, she just looks icy cool and focused, determined.
140.
I love it when she plays darts in this mood. Honestly, you could fly a Boeing 747 past her
95.
glasses and she wouldn't even flinch. This game has been played at a lovely rhythm, just like yesterday's game. Sensible from John to try and leave the 170. He needs to go back 57. Up top. He needed the 60. I think he may have miscounted there.
100.
She will get a look at 121, which was her best finish of yesterday. And it will be to qualify.
134.
Chance number 1.
121.
To be in Saturday night has come and gone.
81.
But now John, to survive, must hit his 78. To survive in this game, it's double 12. And he
Game
hits it,
shot on the 5th leg.
breaking
Shaun
Sherrock's heart.
Henderson.
For now, she was sitting on tops to go through, but now has to
6th
do
leg, it's
all of
Fallon
that
to
work
throw
again.
first. Game on.
And this is her only chance to serve it out.
59.
There is another tiny little subplot to
100.
this game as well. It's somewhat meaningless to these players, but on my notes right now,
100.
it'll mean something to you guys as Sherrock finds a maximum. Her second of the game.
140.
They're still locked, but whoever wins this game will have an undefeated night. They've both won 3 from 3.
81.
They really have shown their class.
100.
Great last start from Hendo. That was brave. What number can she leave? It's going to be very small.
139.
That gives
John,
her
you
options if she
require
comes back.
161.
If turns into when. She got no shot at 40 points in the previous
95.
leg because of the brilliance
Fallon,
of
you require
Henderson.
42.
But now she gets a look at double 16, double 8, and she
Game,
qualifies.
shot, and the match.
She will be
Fallon
in Saturday
Sherrock.
night with John Henderson after an excellent performance. She needed some of her best stuff just to get through, and she's undefeated for Friday night. That was her best performance of the whole week, and Henderson's engine was fine. He played really well, as you can see, but Sherrock deserved it in the end with 40% on the doubles, and that average proves that maybe she will be very tough to beat on Saturday night. Without further ado, we'll go up to the balcony, not only to see the reaction of Matthew Edgar and Henry Deacon, but they've got the news as to who's qualified and where they will play and in which group for Saturday night. Over to you guys.
Oh, yes, we do. Paul, thank you very much indeed. But before we do that, wow, what a game.
2 players came here tonight, and when they first went on the stage, I described them as steely, determined. Those 2 players was John Henderson and Fallon Sherrock. Both of those players went into that game undefeated, and they've both come out of it as qualifiers. They're the only 2 players who have had that focus all night, unrivaled focus, unrivaled determination, and they've got the rewards in the end.
Let's have a look then at the table at the end of proceedings, because Fallon Sherrock had to win that match to progress her way through to tomorrow night's final, and she now does it in 2nd place.
She does, and that's kind of what we predicted. It just wasn't the way that I predicted it would actually go. I thought it'd be a completely different way of going. But I said Fallon Sherrock and John Henderson through this one. Jared Cole in the morning session with Richard North. Those 4 predictions have turned out to be correct, but no one would have predicted the road to that destination.
And by the way, how good was John Henderson? After 2 games, 102.5 average, played really well in that last match against Fallon and just didn't get anything for it.
Fallon was fantastic in that last game, wasn't she? A near 98 average. In a game she had to win. She's putting a lot of mileage to be here. And to get the reward the way she did, winning all 4 matches, you've got to tip your hat to Fallon Sherrock. That was a splendid performance and a real good evening for her. And John Henderson. We can't ignore the 2 players. They've been the standout performers, and they make up one heck of a lineup tomorrow night.
And by the way, let's not forget about Niall Culleton, the man who won the group. Such was the drama here. He made it, well, we knew what he had to do first night. He got the 4 wins, and he did enough to get over the line.
Which, again, when we put Niall Culleton in, then we take Lee Budgeon, who's won Group A. We look at Jared Cole. We look at Richard North. This is going to be, and I've put my hat on this, and I'm going to stick with this. This is going to be the best Saturday night in here that we have had in Super Series 2. So if you haven't got your tickets already, get to dartshop.tv. This is the place to be tomorrow night.
Matthew Edgar needs to find a hat to hang on his head. Anyway, let's have a look then at those groups for tomorrow night because, I mean, first of all, Group 1, that is ouch, ouch and ouch.
Whatever way you cut these 6 players up, you're going to say exactly the same thing. Because I don't see how you could cut these up any different where you're not going to go ouch, because they are 6 quality players, all evenly matched. If you can pick a winner out of that, you're better than me.
Put it this way, it is going to be some cake and some hors d'oeuvre on the end of what has been a really good week here at the Super Series.
It's been a fantastic week, and this is the starter for the main event that starts next week, Champions Week, the last opportunity to get in there. We're going to see that giant novelty check wheeled out a couple of times. Could be the same player lofting it 2 weeks in a row.
Matthew Edgar's looking forward to that novelty check. That's going to have to wait for tomorrow night, which is when you can join us next for Super Series action. It's finals night of week 12. It's 10 p.m. tomorrow on Sporty Stuff TV. And it is going to be one heck of a lineup. So whatever you're planning to do on Saturday, make sure you're here 10 o'clock sharp for a night at the darts. We'll see you then. Bye-bye for now.